All right. And we are both live. The last word with Lord Cognito and Ebontis. Ebontis, what is going on, sir?
It's another week. A few more changes. We got some updates coming to Destiny 2. We've got some future games to look forward to. We got some changes, ends of eras, just lots of stuff to talk about for a week. It's been a pretty good week. How's your day gone so far? I know it's early, but your day is on the tail end. So the vampire life.
Yeah, vampire life, man. Just happy the weekend is actually here for me. Getting excited about all the news dropping. Big twab. I actually like the twab. I'm excited to get into that. Anthem, Division, you know what I mean? Like it's a good time for gaming. Even Mortal Kombat dropped some stuff. And
Yeah, I saw that too. Fatalities are hard to get tired of. I'm still just a kid at heart.
yeah, how amazing is that franchise, right? Just to keep on going, man. So yeah, it's been really cool. A lot of stuff going on, and I've actually been playing a lot of
Oh
Destiny
yeah.
this week. Got some in. Finally getting in my Forge grind, really doing those bounties, and I've been kind of staying with the first one though, and just getting stuff done and messing around with that whole gameplay loop and understanding it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
hmm
doing that and a ton of Crucible. Got
Oh,
a
of
ton of
course,
Crucible.
it's Iron Banner.
Talk.
That's your world.
Yeah, but actually a lot of competitive too, man. A lot of competitive too. So I'll talk. We will when we get into certain parts of the TWAB. I'll talk about that as well. My experiences there.
But
What's
yeah,
going on, man?
it's been a pretty crazy week. I did want to shout out. I got to shout out Guardian Radio. They had their
Yes.
last episode literally yesterday. I mean, for me, and I said it to Mark before as well. Shout out to those guys, the good work they put in to literally Craig, Mark, Bife, K-Dub, Bell Bunny, and even the guys before that I didn't list to, Mesa Sean as well. I mean, he does so much.
Yes.
So all
Absolutely.
that stuff going, they wrapped up their last episode, and it's like the end of an era. I mean, those guys have been going for nearly 6 years, which is just insane.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were doing it before the game even started, and they're kind of going out when Destiny's in really good spot actually. They have other things, but it was just a little kind of somber just to listen to everything they were saying. But I mean, for Mark and all the stuff that he does, if you guys ever have wanted to listen to just some of the nicest guys out there, check out a couple of their recent ones. At least give them a nice view on their see if we can bump up their view count on that last finale
Mm-hmm.
episode. Just a bunch of nice guys, and they started this community as one of the earliest podcasts out there. And there's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of ones that have spawned up. Ours, Destiny Community. I mean, you've got so many Crucible Radio. There's so many over time that have come from that,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just I don't know. It was kind of weird to listen to that last one.
Yeah,
Very
man.
strange.
Well said. Well said. I mean, yeah, I mean, those guys are pioneers, and we've had Mark on the show. Tremendous guy, tremendous community. I got a chance to meet both K Dub and Mason Sean at the Destiny Con before it was Guardian Con, and great guys. Again, they've been doing it so long, and it's always sad to see something go. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, it's just like you have to respect it. Because I was like, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, you get selfish as a listener. You know what I'm saying? So being a listener of a podcast, you always get selfish. But salute to those guys, man. Those guys were the first. Those are the pioneers. Those are the guys that really put this thing on the map. And what is it? 6 years, man? Like six? Whew, that's a long time. So definitely salute to the longevity, and hopefully, man, like I said, those guys are happy and doing what they want to do, man. So definitely salute.
Yeah. So I mean, Mark I know is gonna go on to do other stuff. Mesa still got his channel. K Dub's
Mhm.
doing. I mean, family life is definitely a thing, and it's just like as things go on, I mean, they can just
Mhm.
count their blessings that they got to do it that long. Because honestly, things like this don't last forever. It's like we're lucky to
Facts.
be still doing this after a year because you never
Mhm.
know. So
You
a
never
lot of
know,
things
man.
can change. And there may be a
Mhm.
time where like our time of this podcast will maybe have to change
Yes.
if life happens, but that'll happen down the road. But we will still try and get to this as frequent as we can because we still enjoy
Absolutely.
talking about games, especially these that you guys love. So,
Absolutely. We got to get the last word on these games. No
uh,
doubt.
so yeah. I mean, first things first, we had the TWAB and Destiny drop yesterday. Not waiting
Woo,
for like 3 weeks, so we actually got some good info in there.
woo.
Uh, So, Niobe Labs has been open for a week. People have been doing the Berguzia Forge. A couple things have been dropping. A few more Yotons are getting out there, which feels busted but hilarious. I don't have it yet, but I mean, the videos I've seen, it just looks kind of stupidly broken fun. So,
Mhm.
that's definitely one of those to grind for. The boss of the Berguzia Forge is just a tank, and if you got Whisper, it's over. Just
It's
pop the.
over.
Literally, just, yeah, jump up in the top corner where you spawn in, and it's, knock it out. Honestly, the latest forges are the easier ones because Izanami, like chunking them up
Mm.
there, really not too bad. Go Fanon Forge, that second one, still the
Yeah.
hardest. Just because
Really?
the teleporting servitor is like the hardest one. The guy, the big,
Mm.
what is it? The big, not Centurion, the big Colossus
Mhm.
guy. He's not easy,
Mhm.
per se. But yeah, if you take Sleeper into Izanami, sorry, I get those
Mhm.
confused because Izanagi's the sniper.
Yeah, it's
If you
like,
take Sleeper in there and you got a couple people that have Sleeper, it's
yeah.
dead before he moves. I mean, he goes so
Damn.
fast. Like, that Hydra does not have as much health as Sleeper.
Mhm.
Thunderlord with Well of Radiance, like, couple people standing there,
Oh,
done. I
oh,
mean, so I mean,
speaking my
you
language.
can, yeah, it's like you can
Speaking my
mount some of those
language.
guys pretty quick. And it's just the Servitor feels like it just has so much health and it just boops you around everywhere and teleports and everything. So. Yeah, it's rough. And even yesterday, like some of the grind is real because I love my Go figure. Anybody who's watched my videos knows
Yes,
my Go
you
figure
do.
is my laser beam, and
That
everybody's
thing
like,
don't leave you.
you gotta get your blast furnace, you gotta get your blast furnace. I was like, my rolls have sucked. They have
Really?
been they've been awful. I'll get stuff like you might get something like, oh, you might have Zen Moment with like air assault or slide shot. It's all BS rolls. They're terrible. So I'm
I hate
waiting.
when you
I
get
mean,
those rolls.
and then I hear people like just I'll be playing in Twitch talking about this when somebody comments on a video like, oh, I got the feeding frenzy, range masterwork, rampage. I'm like, screw you.
Yep, I feel you,
But
bro.
I
Like,
mean, I have my Go figure that is basically that. Everybody's just like, oh, the blast furnace is better. It's like I'm gonna get like 100 of these things before I do it. So I
yeah,
mean, the fastest place is that place on Mars. I put a video up about yesterday. Seems to be
yes.
like you guys could
Hmm.
could have used that one a little while ago. But I mean, it's a pretty fast grind, and it's so funny. Like that's
Hmm.
actually one of the videos where I've probably had more comments of people saying where they prefer to grind it out, but not
Hmm.
that many downvotes. Like, oh, this is terrible. It's just like more people saying, hey, I go here. Apparently,
Yeah.
everybody likes their own lost sector on the Dreaming City.
Mm,
I've literally
interesting.
heard all three. I've heard Chamber of Starlight, Aphelios Rest, and the Bay of Drowning Wishes. I've literally heard all three mentioned,
Mm,
and because the idea is like some will say the Bay of Drowning Wishes, because I'm like, well, you have to, if you want to do the boss twice, you still have to kill all the ads, and it's like, and you can run to the end. Some people just like take Sleeper to the one in Mars. That one's cool.
mhm.
The Aphelios Rest, that one's actually not bad because you can. Run through, shoot the boss, and then just run back out and kind of do a
Run back
circle.
out. Yeah, kind of repeat the process.
And then Chamber of Starlight's not bad either. So it just kind of depends on your preference. It's nice that there's variety out there. It's just the one that works for me. So,
Mhm.
and if some people like, hey, go ahead and take Graviton Lance in there, do this, that, and the other. And I was like, well, I try not to assume anybody has an exotic. Again, putting the videos out there for the newer players or the casuals
Nice.
or the ones that don't have all the stuff. So
Yeah, with me.
you probably, do you even have Graviton Lance yet?
I had to get it from Zer. You know, some of us are not so fortunate with RNG. I still have no Warlock Forsaken exotic armor still.
Well, you and Mesa Sean can commiserate.
Oh,
That guy just sounds depressed every time. He'll
it
post something up
hurts.
on Twitter and he's like looking at the exotic and he's like, oh, do I even want to pick this thing up? And he picks it up and he's like, yep, there it is, still trash. All right, he just like he cannot get new armor to save his life.
Bro, at this point, I should do like a docu series. Day 242. Like it's getting to that
The
point.
grind
Like,
continues as we sit out
oh,
here in the fields of the Dreaming City, and out here as I waste away waiting, I see another exotic engram drop, and oh no. Oh no,
yeah,
again, it is a year one exotic of trash. We move
it's
on to our next
pain,
drop. It's just like, yeah, it's hilarious. So,
pain, bro. But I mean, the only thing that saves me, the reason why I don't complain, is because coming from console to PC, I am living proof that Thunderlord drops as an exotic.
oh yeah, you got it early, and you can thank your lucky
Yeah.
stars, man.
So that and Luna faction boots, because that's
Oh,
one
for
of
a
my.
war, yeah, you
Yeah,
can do what you need to get done with those two,
exactly.
like
I can
that.
hold my own solo,
Yep.
and that's what's saving me. If I didn't have those two, I would be in trouble. So that's the only reason why I'm calming down because I got my essentials, my other third essential, which I still haven't got, which I'm hoping when you put that Zer video up later today,
We'll see.
is yeah, we'll see. I need my Nazareth sin, man. I need that's a big part of my
You and
void.
that helm.
Yeah, but you know what's funny, real quick, before we get into it, um, I got a new build now, and I don't even know if I might go back to Nazareth, especially when we learn about certain other exotics getting nerfed. I've been really sleeping on transversive steps. I gotta shout those out in PvP, right? Transverses, man, because you know what it is, especially you hand cannon users. If you guys shout the Forte in the chat, I know he got Luna's Howl. Um, the thing about it is, remember the hand cannon, the
The
main thing is that
reload.
reload.
Yeah.
You just run a couple of seconds and your gun's reloaded. Like, that is such a huge deal. Like, you have no, it has saved me so, it's like this passive ability that you really underrate. And it's been so much fun. So I've been out here, and we're gonna talk about malfeasance too. Oh man, I don't know what it is on PC. I don't know what's going on, but I put up a 7.8 yesterday. You see? Did you
Damn.
see that? Did you
No,
see that?
I missed
Check,
that
check,
one.
check
Damn.
my timeline, brother. Oh, man. Matt, I got a new. I don't even call it by its full name. I call it the Malfeasy. That's the nickname, the Malfeasy. They don't want it with the Malfeasy right now. That transversal step. So that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, for me, my last week, I didn't even spend that much time in the forges. Like, I'm kind of back on the grind for the blast furnace. But last week for me was Shattered Throne, and you got to see a little bit of that because
Yeah. Me and Forte saw that too live. I felt it, man. I felt they should have gave you that. I hate the whole. I
So, for
know.
those of you guys that didn't catch it live or haven't just followed my Twitters, wow, I feel like I'm 20,000 years old.
The
So Shattered Throne, still a pain in the butt, but I was working on the solo flawless run. And I was going through practicing, went through, died at one point. So I was like, okay, doing a practice run. Jump back in the second one and had just like a stupid death in the first section. And I was like, all right, well. And it looked like when I came back in, like the checkpoint started not at where you initially spawn. You have to like go through the first door and there's no ads. But I was like, well, crap, does that count as a full run? And I was like, I don't know. So I went with my brother, and he hadn't run it on whatever character he was on yet, and we started out. And I literally just had him load up Shattered Throne, like the first initial door, like literally just load in, spawn, and then I left so I could try and reset my checkpoint. And then I left, completely left, went in on my own separately. And then I'd like spawned in after the door, and I was like, well, I don't know if it counts, but at this point I got to finish it and find out. So I went through, pulled a flawless run, completely all the way through, finished Dylan Karu and everything, which was just like nail biting the whole time. The ogre's a pain in the butt, and then got to Dylan Karu, like was actually getting the like everything was just kind of coming together, burned her down, and I saw the first triumph pop, and I was like, oh, I got the finish it flawless, and I was waiting for the second one to come up, and it did not show, and I was like, oh.
Ew, that sucks.
So somehow, like having my brother in there, like it instanced me with him, and even just because it was the first instance or whatever, because I was paired with him, it was not solo flawless; it was just flawless. So, a couple weeks from now, I'll have to put it back through its paces and get it going again. Because then I tried later, and I had a good run going, and then like the ogre, somehow I like exploded a wizard without even knowing it, and it was just my mojo was shot kind of after a point. So. Oh yeah, I was like, but I was like, I mean, yeah, it's like some of you guys were watching live, but it was, yeah, I still love that place, but man, that was like kind of a heartbreak when things just started going downhill. So
we were watching, we were cheering you on, me Forte and your bro, you know what I'm saying? So, and we was like, yo, it was only one part that got a little dicey for you. I'm like,
oh man, I had a couple like just pucker moments where it was like, oof,
yeah, I'm like,
this is close, it's tight. Yeah, I was like, I had a couple of those, but yeah, I pulled out. I had machine gun reserves. I had Thunderlord busting out the damage. I like melted, and I've noticed something, and I don't know why. Somebody said it in my Twitch chat too. Sometimes Thunderlord casts like 8 lightning bolts at the same time.
Yes, it does. I've seen
it. Like, and it's all of a sudden it's like you'll do your normal like burn through stuff, and then it's and then all of a sudden like, and that's one of those times when I ran on the ogre. That one I was just going along. All of a sudden his health was like down a third, like instantly. I'm like, I didn't that. That's not normal. So I was like, and then I saw it do it to somebody else too. At one point, it's just like, and it's like, okay, that's a cool like proc when it happens, but it was still kind of insane. So,
yeah, man. Yeah, shout out to Forte. He said that floating warlock jump almost did you in.
Oh yeah, there's the floof. The floof got me once too. It did get me pretty early on when I was doing my first practice runs. I was just like, I was in like it was in the descent, not the first section with the captain outside, but what I'd call like the cathedral looking area before the catwalk.
Yes. Hmm.
And just in there, I was going upstairs to get ammo, and I just did like one jump, and my second one, or my spacebar didn't take it. It was just like, boo. I was like, no. Like any other character, I probably could have recovered something like that. Warlock's just, nope, going down. Sorry.
Yeah.
And I was just like, and it was just one of those like facepalm moments. I was like, well, this is now a practice run. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, and that's kind of just like, that was. The dungeons are awesome. I just hope we get some more of those down the road because I really love them.
yeah, man. Now you did your thing, man. Salute to you on that. That solo runs, man. You are killing it with it, getting it down to a science, being efficient. Great to watch, man.
Thanks. Well, trust me, you'll still have to school me in PvP down the road. So
Oh yeah, man. I'm schooling. Malfeasy. Continue.
there you go. But yeah, all that being said, that's mostly what we've been doing. We'll get to some of the news that's dropped about other games toward the end. So if you guys are looking for stuff about Division and Anthem, we will be talking about both of those today, but those will be towards the end once we wrap up the Destiny stuff. But we're going to start here in the world of This Week at Bungie. So, dropped yesterday, and we got a nice little bit of news from Luke Smith. So, kind of wanted to talk about the future of the game. Basic pieces, they said their sincere thanks to the people at Activision who helped bring Destiny together. And that's a big thing. It's like Destiny probably would not have happened without Activision because, I mean, $500 million doesn't just fall in people's hands. High Moon Studios for the collaboration of Forsaken, Vicarious Visions, who've helped with like Black Armory and PC Port, which can't blame the police. PC Port's amazing. But and they said they're going to finish up with their swan song for season of the Redacted and stuff. But basically what that means is those other studios, they're still Activision studios. So you've got Vicarious Visions who helped. You had High Moon Studios who helped with Destiny 2. And now they truly are on their own island without those other studios. So that's like, that's a workforce, that's a base of people that they've been using that they don't have now. So they said in the short term, they're going to continue building the content, Black Armory, and they've learned some things from that. So they're trying to, roll out the next pieces of the annual pass. They said, they are committed to Destiny. They, if the future's in their hands, the vast majority of the team is hard at work envisioning future experiences, enemies, ways to play the Guardian you've been building since 2014. So, and then finally, just somebody had kind of an interesting question here. So it was a busy fall. It's going to be a busy year. E3, I'm sure, is going to be insane, and they don't even say that. But they said, when I look ahead and think about Destiny and where it could go, I see a bright future with roots in a memorable past, which is a very interesting line, depending on what they want to do with, say, maybe old content. I don't know.
Yeah.
Not everything has been lost in the dark corners of time. So that last little bit, I mean, Luke Smith definitely doesn't jump out much unless it's kind of a big deal. So just to have him post something in this is definitely pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So what do you read into all of that? Just kind of your thoughts on the future.
I think this is more of a comfort the base, let everyone know, hey man, we obviously had I want to call it tumultuous week, but it's been an eventful week for their future. So I guess they want to assure people, with the status of the annual pass, which is kind of setting up, letting know that they're going to continue with what they promised. That was that second paragraph, and long term, when I see that sentence, we create a universe, we hold its future entirely in our hands. The vast majority of the team is hard at work, provisioning the future experiences and enemies and way to play the Guardian you've been building since 2014. So again, assurance, it's, what I get from it? Hey, we made a big move, but be clear, we're kind of confident in what we're doing. Because I know I don't want to say there's a cloud, but even I had some concerns, obviously, because we always talk about, big, bad, evil Activision, right? Yep. But at the same time, last word, we talked about how there's a lot of things that Activision were doing that, people may take for granted. And whether it be, the marketing and so on and so forth, the PC port, who, let's be honest, is fantastic, right? That is a great, great port. So, it's one of those things where I see this is more of, okay, we went through something, went through a breakup, but everything's going to be okay, y'all. Continue through the annual pass. And I agree. I think E3, we're going to learn a lot, because that's going to definitely set up the big content, quote unquote, comet that's their own. And then it's also going to be big from the standpoint of obviously no vicarious visions, no high moon at that point. I'm assuming that should be the cutoff according to Hogue Law, which we had on the show at our Iron Law podcast, who broke everything down legally. So from a contractual obligation, high moon, vicarious should see it through all the way to annual pass. And I'm assuming at that point there'll be a cutoff. At that point, we'll know the state of PlayStation exclusives, whether or not
Wow.
that continues. Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Whether or not Sony will pay and say, hey, I want to keep this going, even though the Activision deal is quote unquote dissolved. Does Microsoft step in? It's going to be very interesting. We'll learn a lot. And it's exciting. I'm definitely excited to see how they handle it. And we know, as we'll talk about later, that there's a competition on the way.
Oh
So,
yeah.
it's good. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. I'm excited to see what they do, man. They got their IP back. At the end of the day, that is rare. I've never seen that. I'm not the youngest gamer in the room. In my history, I've never really seen situations like that. So kudos to their lawyers for being able to secure such a deal from leaving Microsoft to go to Activision and still having the mindset of if things don't work out, we hold on to the IP.
Yeah, I mean, it's just nice to see them do that. I think Hitman kind of did a similar thing recently with I forget who makes that damn game, IO or something like that. I don't even know. But yeah, it's just nice to see them hold it. But as you said, the earnest is on them to, at this point, put up or shut up. Because unfortunately,
Facts.
the excuses are no longer with anybody else. It's totally on them. But I
Mhm.
mean, you read this line here is like when I look at it and think about Destiny and where it could go, I see a bright future with roots in a memorable past. Not everything has been lost in the dark corners of time. So it's
Mhm.
like, is there anything related to? I mean, it's like it would be hilarious if they just took D1 and D2 and smashed them together. Like, what if they brought
Mhm.
back like just the old content and stuff? I don't know. I don't even know what they would do
Oh,
with all that
don't say
stuff. But I
that.
was like, I don't know. You
Mm,
just think about like what has been lost and stuff. It
yeah.
would be. I don't know. It's like they slowly dabble with like exotics and stuff, but different areas and things. But yeah, I'd much rather see more future than just slapping on old content. But
True,
yeah, it's
true,
like
true.
we got. I don't know. Just it's the world is their oyster at this point. However they choose to go forward will be very very interesting.
Absolutely, man. This actually gets me. I'm going to be at E3 this year. Actually, gets me very excited because we'll get a maybe get hopefully get a sneak peek of what's going on, and then obviously we know they're going to be at Guardian Con, which me and you will be there.
Definitely.
So we will get even more information. I'm assuming there because at that point we should have already an announcement and more. Hopefully, do you think?
I mean, my guess E3 is going to be the big one. I mean, if there's
Right.
something they want to throw out and have a little bit of fun with, like, I mean, Gambit was a new thing,
Yeah.
so I mean, but is there going to be a whole new mode? That's hard for them to come up with. But I mean, I still think they will be there. It's too big, and I think they've got the independence now from Activision as well to be like, well, yeah, we're gonna go. Like, I
Mhm.
think they get to make those choices now of where they want to go. But it's also again, you think about like, even just the content creators and influencers and stuff that Activision pays for. It's like Activision pays that bill, not Bungie pays the bill for them to go up to Seattle or go to an E3. So it's like a lot of those costs still are going to be one of those things they've got to figure out where budgets go, what they can afford. So there's definitely a lot of things to evaluate, and we'll see what it takes for them to do it on their own. So
Absolutely. What else?
but yeah, so that's kind of the future. So we'll see what things hold. But I'm as always cautiously optimistic because it's
Mhm.
basically an uncharted territory at this point. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
Absolutely.
they do. We know on the 29th, a couple weeks, we're going to be getting not even a couple weeks, like 11 days.
Hmm.
We're going to be getting our updates to the super abilities and the damage, and we talked about
Woo!
all that stuff last week. So if you guys missed that one, tune in last week. Look on the Bungie blog, and you
Mhm.
check all that stuff out. But they also want to talk about the Sandbox.
Yeah.
It's
Which
like
I
our biannual Sandbox update once every 6 months.
listen to the sarcasm in his voice.
It doesn't happen that often. It probably should happen sooner. I think we can all agree on that.
Yeah, man. Sandbox is coming, man. I'm excited. You want me to jump this off or?
Yeah, let me just kind of breathe
Yeah,
it in
frame it.
here. So, designer Victor Anderson has a rundown of our goals and the changes being made to reach them. So I'm going to hit the high points. I'm going to let you hit the
Yeah,
details. So,
absolutely. Go for it.
main things they want to buff underutilized weapon archetypes, which
Mm,
that's hopefully obvious. Adjust hot button weapons in PvP, including Telesto, which we all know is a thing in PvP. Wave splitters, definitely a thing on PS4 that I've heard of, but I couldn't even tell you about it. And then avoid PvP adjustments that will negatively affect PvE efficacy, and that's important that they keep making that distinction between those two. They need to keep those separate because, I mean, PvE can't suffer just because PvP has to somehow get balanced. You can't have like, oh, this gun's trash now because we had to balance it for PvP. They need to make sure they can still keep those separate. So,
Absolutely.
first, weapon archetypes, all you.
Yeah, man. So it looks like they're hitting auto rifles first. Damage increased for rapid fire, adaptive, and high impact families. We find that auto rifles are a little unforgiving for the ranges they ask you to occupy in a world with special weapons, shotguns. And as a result, we've increased the damage to offset the higher risk. Then we have scout rifles, damage increased for lightweight and rapid fire families, as well as an increase to all scout rifles in PvE. Woo. Scout rifles are always going to be on the lower end of damage due to the safety that their range affords you, but the difference currently between them and other primary weapons is too drastic. As a result, we're reducing the size of the gap. And then we have sniper rifles, increase the damage on the rapid fire archetype to be able to kill in 2 body shots. So the 2-tap is back. Although snipers are still finding success, we believe that allowing you to clean up a kill easier with a sniper rifle will allow the sniper to have the success at more ranges and in more situations. And they go off into some exotics, which are very important. Legend of Acreus. I was surprised by this one. Good to see. Increased the damage and bumped out the range slightly. As the time moves on, things tend to trend upward in terms of power, and in a post-Forsaken world, Acreus simply doesn't have the output to match other heavy weapon exotics. I would agree with that.
Yep.
And here we go.
Oh, hold on. Let me go ahead and frame the whole page. Make sure you got full reading. Here we go.
Woo! Well, we know. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, we knew this was coming. This is a multiple offender. This guy right here, he's been running rampant for a while. So Telesto, formerly the Besto, PvP damage brought down to match a standard fusion rifle charge rate. Optics was also increased to match fusion rifles with long-range scopes. Telesto has become fairly notorious in the Crucible for its effectiveness, even in some cases getting accidental multi-kills due to how damaging the explosions were. To combat these, we reduced its PvP damage to match its charge rate. This brought up an issue which doing so was significantly hurting the usability of the weapon. So the optics were buffed in return. In general, you should still find it an effective weapon. It just won't be quite as generous as it was before. What do you think about the former Besto? I got to talk about this one quick.
See, it's like I haven't done much competitive. I've definitely heard nothing but stuff about. I mean, it doesn't have range drop off. So I mean, the fact that the little particles can go pretty much cross map, and if they catch you, they catch you. And it's just like it's a monster. I mean, it's an exotic, but it's a little broken to a point. So that it needed it. We knew it was coming. And while I haven't heard, like, I haven't seen it personally as much, that's all I hear about for competitive. Is just like you can't not go in there with that thing if you want to try and be in the mix. So
yeah,
I think that's the point of their main focus is like they want to, like, you think about scout rifles and autos, and it's like they just don't quite hold up, so they need some boost. Like if the whole world uses one gun, there's a little something wrong, and there's a point where you can't forever buff to catch things up. Like there's a point where if something's that far out of whack, you got to tweak it back down just a little bit.
I agree, man. I agree. And then trace rifles, we've got increased the minimum amount of ammo that you can receive from special ammo boxes. That's actually a big deal. Trace rifles had a pretty rough time keeping ammo reserves in the Crucible as it doesn't have access to scavenger perks. You should have more success using it often in the Crucible now, and this changes will also affect PvE bricks. And then reduce the strength of Wave Splitter in PvP. After the ammo changes noted above, Wave Splitter had its one weakness removed, so we opted to bring it in line with the other trace rifles before the patch hit the public.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't honestly touched Wave Splitter, but I've heard it's pretty lethal out there on PS4. But yeah, it's so weird that they don't have trace rifles tied to some type of perks. I mean, I thought they were affected by auto rifles to a point, so it sounds weird, but it's like they're a weapon type and they don't have a perk rolled into them. We got machine guns, but you don't have like trace rifle ammo, or it's not there. You can't build for it. It's just
That's a good point.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So
So
like,
yeah, I mean, continue, continue.
oh no, it feels like it should have happened a while ago, or at least I don't know how it just either got overlooked or they thought it would be addressed with something else. So it's just kind of weird.
Yeah, man. Listen, I mean, I definitely think it is. It was kind of weird trace. I think it just comes down to utilization, and I think maybe they just forgot, honestly, because it's not getting utilized as much, you know. But it is a weird omission kind of thing. So they conclude the paragraph by saying weapon tunings is an ongoing process. We'll be sure to talk to you more about it in the future. Some topics we're looking at for future potential adjustments include trace rifle damage in PvE. That's a big one. Cold Heart looking at you. Submachine gun damage adjustments. That's a big one. Shotgun adjustments and taking a holistic look at the heavy slot options and how much of an option it has on the loadout choices for PvE content. We're always looking at what's currently in use and what isn't in use, as having more choices is always better than being locked into a narrow brown. So overall, you know, what do you feel about the weapon archetypes affected and the direction and kind of heading with those exotics?
I mean, you see stuff like trace rifles. Like, I don't see those used that often. You can do it for fun. I mean, you can even use something like, what is the solar one? Of course, I blank when I try and say the name. Prometheus.
Prometheus.
Yeah, you could use Prometheus, and it's like if you're gonna melt some ads and stuff for a little while, maybe it's a solar burn. You can have some fun. You get that ammo coming back. If you got the catalyst, that's actually pretty decent. But again, when you use that exotic as they kind of get to that point, you take away the heavy exotics, and those are
Right.
so powerful right now. I mean,
Mhm.
Thunderlord, if not Thunderlord, basically all machine guns if you have a decent roll.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
those are insanely powerful. Whisper's always there.
Mhm.
Sleeper's definitely your baby, and a lot of
Mhm.
people's just because that one shot is so massive. So I
Mhm.
mean, but again, like an exotic heavy probably should outweigh something like, you know, a special or a primary. But again, if I'm going to use an exotic, it needs to make a difference. Like
Right.
I got an ornament from Mid Multi Tool and about laughed because like, I don't even care. Like it doesn't matter. It's like who's gonna
Yeah.
go pull Mid and Multi Tool out and use that exotic and take away your ability to use Thunderlord, and on
Yeah.
top of it being a scout. So I mean, like
Yeah.
Suros Regime, while you can have some fun in a couple places, it's all right.
Mhm. Mhm.
But yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that feel there's always going to be a meta. There's no
Right.
question about
Right.
that, and it's going to shift and change. But they are so slow that we feel like we get entrenched into these metas for
Mhm.
so long. I mean, they mentioned submachine gun adjustments. I'm like, I honestly don't know where to put that. I know some
Yeah.
people use submachine guns or sidearms in PvP for that kind of like
Mhm.
cleanup thing, but I
Mhm.
can't imagine anybody using that stuff in PvE. Those don't even have a
They
place.
don't have a place. Yeah. It's,
I
it's,
mean,
it's a good
fusions
point.
get to yeah, it's like fusions are going to have a little more power from that little mid to longer range if you want that special shot.
Mhm.
Snipers are kind of still a weird spot outside of Whisper, just as OP. A normal
Yeah.
sniper still feels odd.
Mhm.
But yeah, submachine guns and sidearms, I'm like, I mean, you have breakneck. You can grind for
Yeah.
that. I've got my
Mhm.
go figure. You've got shotguns. Like, where do those fit in? So there are certain
Yeah.
things that need to establish themselves and have a place.
Mhm.
Yeah, Gaming Forte saying Cold Heart is in the Forges is great. Yeah, it's like certain ones
Mhm.
have a spot, but yeah, it's definitely a lot of things don't right now.
Well, what I'm hoping is that some of those exotics that you mentioned, you know, as far as like Suros, we talked about Mida, you know, and then Sniper Rifle. We got to remember that when they buff these weapon archetypes, that you have to understand that the exotics in that will also get affected. So we hopefully should see in autos like the Suros hopefully be a little bit more better, you know, with this damage increase. Again, we don't know how big the damage increase is. You know what I mean? But then you have scouts like Mida. I'm assuming not so much, maybe. I mean, they did say they're going to unbox it in PvE, so we have to see. But again, I'm with you. I'm not going to take Mida over no Thunderlord. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I'm with
no, I
you on
mean,
that one. I'm with you on that. But
no.
it's gonna be interesting. You know what I'm saying? Some of those underutilized archetypes to see how that goes in, man. Oh, Neo Mental, what's up, brother? How you doing, man? Oh, born distracted. What's going on? So yeah, you see that. I like that Accurate's got that bump. I am a big time Telesto offender. So listen, this was coming. It's very forgiving. You can shoot down a block. There's no damage fall off. You can still get craziness off, multi kills off, whole bunch of foolishness going on. That I was like, I felt guilty the stuff I was doing with Telesto. I was just like, yeah, this ain't right.
But
You
I
know,
mean, if you choose not to, then you know you're just setting yourself up to be at a disadvantage. So why not?
right. And literally, it was my only counter to the Lunar Howl users because Lunar Howl's running all over the Crucible and competitive. And at least if I didn't win, we would trade. So it's going to be interesting because they claim that the weapon's still going to be effective. We shall see. Trace rifles definitely need love. I haven't used trace rifles since like, damn, vanilla when Cohort was a thing and against like Callus.
Yeah.
Remember?
Mm-hmm.
Like I can't even remember. And Prometheus, I love the look, but they're gonna have to do something about it, man. Shout out to Chris Coverley. He said he had to use Telesto the other day against the Sweats and quick play. I felt you feel dirty, you do, but you got to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's up, dramatic. And it's just you can't. It's if you are wanting to just play your own style, it's fine. Play with whatever guns you want. And sometimes people are like, you know what? I just want to go in there with some funky stuff, mix it up for a little bit, see how it goes, and just mess with some weapon types. But if you really want to go, if you want to try and be at the top of the game, you need to use the top of the meta. And that's just how that goes. Right now, there's one gun that does that in PvP, and hardly other things compare. Heavy's only so often from bricks, which they have pulled back from some, but still feels like it just pops up a little quick. But I mean, that Telesto, if you can get that ammo going, you can get that like cross map shot, tag those people, get the explosions, like it's just really ultra powerful and it's tough.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's what I got. I mean, I'm happy to see it. Obviously I didn't think they were gonna do this. And they did this, and remember, we having this in conjunction with the older subclass buffs. So it's gonna be a nice little. I love stuff like that. I just need more frequency, maybe quarterly, right? Like let's get these. I love stuff like this. So it's good to see that this is happening. This is a pleasant surprise. But like you said before, I don't want to wait 6 months after this for the next one.
I mean, it feels like. I mean, when was the last one? When was the last real Sandbox update? I don't even remember.
Launch of Forsaken, probably.
Probably. That's what it feels like. I mean, with guessing and not looking back, I'm sure that's kind of the one because that's probably about the time Telesto's been out there and competitive doing its thing. So yeah, it's like they need a quicker frequency on this stuff. I know they want to get all the data and analyze it and do their testing, and they're trying not to break it. And I think a lot of us sometimes, honestly, would be okay if things are a little broken, if they're willing to say, be like, okay, how quick can we change things?
Right.
I mean, Fortnite's like kind of a weird thing because it's in a beta phase and they get through some console tweaks where they can, not be early access, but they can still do those changes all the time because they have the seasons and everything. And they need to find a way to do that for this to really continue to adapt, because if people just get tired of playing PvP or this one meta sucks and it doesn't change for 6 months, you're like, well, I'll kiss that part of the game goodbye. Maybe I'll try something else. And they can't really afford that now. They can't really afford those losses of chunks of people.
Not with the competition that's coming.
Oh yeah. So
shout out to Cobra real quick. He said, "I love the Joe." Oh, I hate you, Joe Tune use. I finally experienced, by the way. Whatever.
Just saying, starting you off right.
The gun that I don't like, Jotun. That thing is, I don't want to complain just yet, but it feel easy. I don't know if it feel like a boob tube, something noob tube. I don't know, man. I don't know. It just feel. People were hitting me with stuff. I was like, this thing seemed like it's gonna be a problem. Again, I'm trying to keep my salt levels down, but man, it felt. Neil Melton, he said, "Yup, it's OP." I don't want to go crazy yet, but because I've only experienced it in about 2 competitive matches and maybe Iron Banner 2 days ago. Have you fought? Oh, you haven't been in. You've been doing your.
I've been doing other stuff. Yeah, I haven't done too much competitive, but I mean, I've seen videos of what that thing does, just like cross mapping and a little bit of tracking.
Bro, dudes are setting me up. Like what they'll do is they'll control a hallway, and they'll peek out like, "Hey, what's up?" So you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go over there and get." Boom! You like the minute you peek from distance, I'm like, "Damn, this thing is Yotun, man, Yotun." Whoever got that right now, they got some advantages. So shout out to the Mega Man gun causing terror right now. We'll see how long it lasts.
So we'll see. And again, it's like they'll introduce stuff. Some people are having fun with Izanagi's. Like that one definitely is like. I mean, you can use that thing for the big, one shot body shot if you can get 4 bullets, and if you can run around and hold the special ammo. But yeah, you're definitely sucking up all this like Fallout's videos. Like you're gonna be a vacuum cleaner for the special ammo. Nobody's getting anything if you're running around with that. So
okay, so you gotta do like your scavenger perks and all that. What is it considered? Is it a fusion?
Izanagi's the sniper rifle? No, it's a sniper.
Oh, the sniper. Yeah,
the big sniper.
Right. The big one, the one that you hold the button.
Jotun's fusion, though. Yeah.
Got you. You're right. You're right.
Yeah. But yeah, all these changes. So you got the supers, Sandbox, more things coming, weapon balancing, a lot of stuff coming on the 29th with that last word. So we're going to get a quest, but we're going to get a new feel for the game all over again. So we'll see how all that stuff settles in. I'm sure people will see if there's a new meta or new things that work well. Hopefully there's a little bit of variety, which is good.
Yes, sir.
So next piece, some
This is
quality
you.
of life.
Break this down for me.
So we've got Sandbox is the only. It will not be the only aspect of Destiny 2 receiving changes. They spent some time collecting player feedback on the Black Armory experience. Of course, how long has Black Armory been out? By the time this is going to happen, about 2 months.
2 months.
And this is again where it's like they made the couple quick changes where they opened the forge and they lowered the level of the first one, but some of these should have happened sooner by the feedback that I've seen pretty much everywhere by most people.
Absolutely.
So the first one, ballistics logs will no longer be removed at reset. Thank you. Seriously, like that's one of those, like if you spend the time to do a weekly bounty and you have a currency to buy those things, then you know what? Like, yeah, and if you have multiple characters, then, maybe you don't have to grind. Maybe you spend a lot of time on one week and you can go through every frame and every bounty on every character and you're like, okay, cool, knock them all out. Next week, you go through, you do the bounties, but you don't get to those other characters. At least you don't waste your time if you do it. So, I mean, removing those was just kind of an annoying... They don't remove many other things from a weekly reset, and they felt like doing that one, so I still didn't quite understand it. They will sack the limit for ballistics logs to 5 per character. So, I mean, you'll be able to hold 5, but you will still only be able to do 2 powerful frames per week. So they are going to limit those. But, I mean, if you go through, like, say there's like, hey, I just want to focus on the pulse rifle this week. I don't get to anything else. And I got 2. Yeah, it's like, so I'm saving them up. And next week there's 2. Cool. Or I just start saving them up, and then you don't have to do those bounties as much. So it's a way that if you put the time in early, you can save it for later. So that's kind of reasonable. They will say the weapon frames carried across reset will now refund into the following. So if you have a weapon frame in progress, if you have different levels, you won't completely lose them, but you'll have to start them over. Gold frames, which is your powerful frames, will refund into a ballistics log, which is fair. If you don't finish it, at least you get it back. Silver frames, which should be the augmented weapon ones, if I'm reading that correctly, or just the middle ones, actually.
Right.
Those will refund into 3 modulus reports. Now, those are worth 6, so I guess that's half, so it's in your benefit to finish them, but it's something. Any instance of a radiant matrix will be removed on weekly reset, which, honestly, I mean... I don't know why they care, but I guess if you're removing the bounty, you probably have to remove the Radiant Matrix because then it's just like a weird step in there and just be like instant done. I guess that kind of makes sense just for progress through each step. Players should stop experiencing the issue where frames are missing from Ada's inventory on a week-to-week basis.
Ouch.
That's been really annoying. So some of these coming back, yeah. So that should be a good thing. Players may still only purchase up to 2 gold frames per week. And again, that's per character.
Yeah.
So if you have multiple characters, you can go get all 3. You just have to do it on other characters. So, all this stuff seems reasonable. Like the ballistics logs coming back, but the removing them, that was just like an unneeded frustration.
Unneeded step. Yeah,
now there's one major quality of life thing they did not take out.
Let's go. What?
Stop having me go back to Ada. Stop it. Just stop it. Like, don't make me do the pulse rifle multi-kills, the radiant seeds, just to go back. Like, if I pick up that frame and I want to go grind a couple forges, I can literally finish it in there while I'm grinding without having to go back again. It's just more loading. And it's like on PC, it's not as bad, but on console, it is just got to be worse. I know it is.
So, I feel for them. Yeah, for the loading. Oh, yeah, it's got to be terrible.
Yeah, so it's like that step should... It's like, why do I have to go back in there just to be like one more step? And I'm going to say it until it changes because it's just a waste of time. Go get your... Because all you do at the Radiant Seeds and all she does is just turn the quest frame into the one you take to the Forge. I'm like, as soon as you pick up the Radiant Seeds, you should be able to go to a Forge. Because then some people, if they just want to grind the Forges, they pick up the frame, work on their multi-kills in there while they're working on some modulus reports, and you just make the grind a little more reasonable. It's just less loading back and forth in game time. And that's just... that's the quality of life thing that they dropped the ball on. I agree. Because it's still not there.
I agree. You're completely right. That should have been in this. I agree.
Yeah. So... that one lacking drastically aside, the drop rate for the Black Armory lore increased from 10% to 20%. Now requires successful ignition for a chance to drop. So, some of you guys may not know what this is about. The lore pages, which how you guys actually get to know what the hell is going on in Black Armory and Niobe Labs and all that stuff. And honestly, that'll be a topic here for a second. But the way people have been trying to grind these out is the fact that they would equip like the lowest light level stuff possible, like cosmetic gear, so you'd be down to like 100, 200 light level. So when you get match made, you're so low you don't pair with anybody. And then they just load a forge, die, fail, and they just do that over. And they just literally leave it running like overnight to try and get the pages, because all you had to do is finish a forge and you had a chance for it to drop. So people were farming those. I mean, most people were, I think a lot of people who were doing it were not complete trash about it. I've seen some AFK bursts, but not a ton.
Wow.
So they'd find like a 3-person team, nobody would move, and then all of a sudden it'd be just, they're just not even touching their controller, just trying to get lore pages. I'm like, if they're doing that to try and get the story, now to my point, that sucks. I'm sorry, but like the lore should be something that's a little more easily accessible than a random low grind of stuff to figure out what's like. That's the stuff we want to know about, because the story, if you read it, is actually kind of cool.
I heard it's good too.
Yeah.
And it's like, again, that's my major beef with Armory. I don't think the content is bad. I actually have fun doing the forges, but it's like, it's just remember we talked about it when it launched. It was just so matter of fact. Like, go to this chick that's just randomly here, apparently in this tower that has always existed. All right, we ain't gonna get into that. But then go to Spider, come back, and then it's just fetch. But like, I want to know about you. Like, why are you so mad at Guardians? You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
Oh man, the beginning of that, I was like, yeah, why are you so pissed off? I
like,
wanted to know.
Exactly. Like, I just wish. That's the only thing I missed from the old model. At least there was some attempt at the story building in. They just rushed the introduction of this character. And from what I'm hearing, like you're saying with these lore pieces, I'm hearing her backstory is great. And it's like, it's really cool. But now you're putting it behind RNG and low percent chances. And now it's 20%. Like, why can't we just get this information told to us some other way? If you're not going to do it in cinematics, but you got to do it some way better than RNG and hope that I learn what's going on. So I agree. Got a problem with that.
Yeah, whether it's like, every forge completion so far, like, Ada's just like kind of checks in and be like, oh, well, this is, kind of cool information about this one. Let me tell you about this part. Like, just little voiceover lines. Because, you have to go back to her to hear about enough stuff anyway. Just have her record a few more of these things. Yes. And just have you learn about them. Or when you go back to, say you do some forges, you go back to Orbit and be like, you knocked out another 5 forges, here this is. And maybe it's just something you can grind out too, but at least when you get them, it's actually kind of obvious about the lore. And you get like, forge lore number 1, like, complete 5 more forges for something else. Like, that'd be at least like a checkbox or something. I still kind of don't even like that idea. But yeah, just your way to find the story is always so it's always so buried. I mean, first it was in the Grimoire cards, and now it's in stuff that you have to RNG for. At least the Grimoire cards and the Hidden Ghost, you could literally go find them all if you want to. If I want to go grind them all out, people would make videos, find them all, and you could knock them out, at least have the Grimoire cards if you want them. But now it's just like, cross my fingers and hope. I can't even like go to a certain place.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's kind of lacking. So
yeah.
Just the fact, I mean, they could have even been hidden in the forges. Like, you got to go over here and, find this thing, scannable item or something like that. Like, that could have been something fun to find as opposed to just hope you find a sheet of paper in a run. It's like, no, that's...
Yeah. Shout out to Diamento. He said literally what you said. He said, believe it or not, I miss hunting for ghosts for info. Like, remember that? Have the Lord here. Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah, that's while the rate goes up, now you can't farm it for free. So now you actually just have to finish them. It says 1 in 5, but I sure as hell haven't seen basically none, and I've definitely done more than 10 forges. So my brother's done a hell of a lot, and he still doesn't even have it done.
Jesus.
So, yeah, my brother's got me on that forge grind. Pfft, he's putting me to shame. So
yeah, he's a big shout out to the wolf, man. He's doing his thing out here.
Yeah, Stone Wolf putting in the time. So after that, that tangent over. Quest steps that require players to defeat a high-value target on Nessus no longer require a player to land the final blow. Again, little pieces that just probably need some QA checking. Modulus reports and ballistics logs will now go to Postmaster if lost. Thank God. Yes. Cap on Modulus reports still stay at 15 slightly annoying. Kind of wish that would be bumped. So if you want to farm, you can. And then just keep, like, if I just want to spend, like, let me spend an hour in Izanagi and just go over and over and over and burn it out. And be like, then if I get capped and I don't pay attention, I'm not getting any more. It's like, They're artificial caps on whether it's Glimmer. Like, I can have 5,000 legendary shards, but I can have 15 logs. Where's the consistency there?
Yeah, it's not consistent at all.
Yeah, so... And then Forge emblems will be awarded when completing a Forge, no longer requiring a specific bounty to be completed. So that's just kind of a, it's an emblem. I'm not too concerned. But just gameplay type stuff. It's like, they're headed there, but then they make some of these choices. I'm like, I know they have to have reasons, whether it's like they want people to spend this much time in the game or they want these certain things. But it's just like, if you really love your community, some of this stuff is not necessary.
Yeah, again, a lot of lessons learned with Black Armory on how to start this new model, so to speak, of this annual pass, drip feed kind of stuff, quote unquote, end game kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely lesson learned, because there was some things that if they just corrected that, quality of life would have been so much better. The content would have been so much more enjoyable. And again, yeah, I think just onboarding and letting people know how to do things and explain it in a better way would have been cool.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Paul Tassi, because I know recently Cosmo's been asking for feedback about Gambit. Obviously, because Joker's Wild is coming up.
Yes.
And Paul Tassi's like, all right, you want my feedback? Here you go. And one of his big ones, and I think we've even said it before, literally, like, explain Gambit to new people.
Good point.
Okay, so you're going to have the waves. I mean, he had a couple ones about random spawns for invaders. Sure. Invasion, like, crazy god mode needs to be somewhat tweaked. But it was just like, for new people, like, how many new people do you want to come into Destiny 2? Hopefully all the time. But if somebody's like, what's Gambit? If you go and load in Gambit, you're like, okay, I think I shoot these things are dropping on the ground. Do I take them to the middle? Unless you go out and look on your own, if you're not going to have an instructional booklet for a game because it's not a cartridge anymore, you got to put some instructions in the damn game. Crucible's PvP, you kind of explain the mode, some of that stuff, like, could have a little more. But Gambit is a unique little animal, and you're like, hey, when you invade, or when there's an invader, power level matters. Okay?
Yes.
When you're picking up motes, don't be a dumbass and carry too many. When you have 74, go put them in the bank. Like, they don't need to say that, but that's just a frustration. But on the other side,
should be
like,
the graphic at the bottom. That should be the graph.
yeah, be like, deposit your damn motes. But in turn, it's like, what does that do? Well, if you do 5, it sends a small blocker. If you do 10, it sends this. When you get to 75, you get your primeval. Like, if you hadn't seen that stuff and there's new people out there, they're so lost. And, like, that's one of those things. You want new people, just a little bit of training as to what the purpose is for some of this stuff for some people. They have enough of those little pop-ups be like, oh, Valor's live or Iron Banner's live. Hey, you played your first match of Gambit. This is how this works. And have them click through, like, 4 screens. And then you're good. Like, if you know what's going on, click, 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 you're done. That doesn't take that long. But on the other side, if somebody's new and be like, this is how you play Gambit, holy crap, some people might not suck.
Yeah.
So those are like that type of thing they need. And again, this comes back to Bungie wanting things to feel good and worried about giving us too much info. But if you want new players to come in, not all of them, and probably many of them, don't go look up YouTube videos, don't go to the Bungie blog, much less read the stuff that we're talking about or listen to a Destiny podcast. So, yeah, that's just like the little pieces of when it comes to like the next piece of this annual pass that you're talking about. They really need to be like, okay, how do we make this experience good for all? Make it a one-time thing or something. If you pull up Gambit, be like, hey, let me hit whatever normal button is not used and be like, quick overview or training or introduction. And if you're done with it, you don't ever have to look at it again. But if you want to look, then you know.
Yeah, I agree, man. Totally nailed it. I hit everything on the head. And it's, again, Tassie said it best, onboarding. They have to do a better job. And I think they've learned some lessons, because I don't feel the content. We will agree that we don't feel the content's terrible. You know what I'm saying? And we don't feel like the drip feed model is necessarily a bad thing, but there's just a way about doing it. And then in terms of Gambit and new modes, you got to explain. You got to explain what to be done here so that people are just not overwhelmed. So yeah, I'm in agreement with that, man. So what we got? You might
Sorry. Sorry, guys. I thought I unmuted.
He had the last word.
No, you're good. But yeah, even just stuff like, a PvP mode or something, be like, hey, it's like when I log in and I see, hey, this week the PvP, the weekly playlist is Lockdown or Showdown. I'm like, I'm sorry, what's the distinction on that again? It's like I read it and I'm like, I think I know what's going on, but I also feel like I'm talking out of my butt. So
Yeah.
just certain things like that. So yeah, they're just little tweaks that could use a little love sometimes. And just, yeah, helping out the newer players. I mean, not everybody goes to YouTube. There's a lot of people who be like, I could probably do a YouTube video for an hour, which somebody probably would not want to spend some time on. But like, what is new? What's in here? Sure. But again, they could do a little of that. Just a little.
No, but listen, at the same time, that's what we have Ebontis for, to teach the masses. To
Well,
teach them.
I try, but trust
Hey,
me,
if they don't want to teach, we got Ebontis. Go subscribe to his channel, y'all. You can learn. You can learn a lot.
hey, you guys have been awesome. Keeps going. So thank you guys for the support. But yeah, so they also said over the past few weeks, members of the community, player support, Bungie.net teams have been meeting to discuss some ways we can improve the experience on our forums. So they just kind of go into a little bit about the forums on Bungie.net, which for a while has been kind of a thing, but most people go to Reddit, most people go to YouTube, most people go to, the Discord chats and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's other places. So they're trying to kind of narrow down basically the Bungie forums to have a little bit more useful places to go, whether it's Destiny 2, feed plat, gameplay, rewards, and lore. Straightforward stuff. As opposed to just kind of some other things that seemed a bit more obscure. So they're just trying to organize the Bungie forums. They're trying to make, clan recruitment a thing. Still have a little bit over D1, but, it's kind of just out there. Stuff about the companion, player support stuff. So you just need to go. All of it's going to be planted right in there. So they're just trying to reorganize their stuff, and they're hopefully going to launch that stuff out next week. So it doesn't need to be too in-depth, but generally it just seems nice that they haven't totally forgotten, because BNet's still a thing. Like,
absolutely.
It's been around forever, and they still try and curate it. It's just, it's not where everybody goes, but there's pretty decent amount of traffic on there when you look. Not the happiest people in the world sometimes, but they're there. So that one doesn't need a bunch. But yeah, so update 2.1.4, which will be the 29th. They have resolved issues preview. So this is what you guys can expect to be fixed. Expected to be resolved. Put that in quotes, because maybe not all, but hopefully. So we've got the Lost Radiant Matrix. Sometimes they can become blocked from accessing Black Armor activities, so that'd be annoying. Supposed to be fixed. Missing weapon frames, as they discussed. So like they just drop off available ones for you to purchase. The Mysterious Box keys. Keys are not sometimes applied when used for the Mysterious Box, but are removed from inventory, blocking progress.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, so that's really not cool. That's supposed to be fixed, but it should actually be retroactively applied, which is good. The Fastidious Miser Triumph may sometimes not unlock when you've done all the chests, so that's going to be fixed. Full pursuits at 8-1. Players not able to purchase weapon frames when their pursuits inventory is full, receiving nothing while costing materials. Again, just these little checks of things that are not quite working. So, Nessus roaming captains, just that thing where it's the last touch on them. Earning Redrick's broadsword is sometimes not granted when completing its quest. Like,
oh no,
yeah, so big
that's
stuff.
no bueno. No
and then,
bueno.
and then, of course, all these things actually really matter. Then the knife flip emote. Now we'll go infinitely. Like, stuff that actually matters, and then an emote's it's on an infinite loop now. So, sadly though, that's like my brother. The first thing he got, then he was like, "Why doesn't this go infinitely?" I was like,
"Oh my god,
that was
I can picture your brother doing it. I can
crack me up. He said it,
but
I was like, now it's on the list, so apparently it's a thing.
oh, woe your quality of life.
Oh, woe is me. Oh, woe. Shout out to Monkey Punch and Cram in chat. What's up, guys?
Punch, what up?
So that is the stuff that is supposed to be resolved on the 29th. We still have some things that are not yet to be resolved, and one of these is major. The Black Armory key molds only being available on the first character to receive it. There's an issue with that. My brother is stuck in that moment. Now, while the knife emote's like a one thing, this actually affects your gameplay on other characters, your progress on the quest. So, yeah, that's a major one, and they still don't have a date, which is like, guys, come on.
Yeah, like, let's go.
Relic Rumble Trophy. We're investigating an issue where Relic Rumble doesn't unlock. Submachinist Medal, same thing, doesn't unlock. Izanagi's Burden. So
it didn't unlock it because nobody using it.
Yeah, who knew? But and Izanagi's Burden scope. We are investigating reports that the scope on Izanagi's Burden experiences issues with Well of Radiance, Inertia Override, while invading game. Basically, if you've got an effect on you, seems to screw with the scope, which not so fun. So again, like, how would you not test Izanagi's Burden in Well of Radiance? You know that combination is going to happen because it's like God mode damage, okay, God mode damage times 2. What's that going to be like? You know that got tested.
Yeah, I think
And
for some
that's
reason, yeah, Well of Radiance, they kind of. I noticed there's been a lot of these kind of Well of Radiance tweaks that haven't been really tested out. It's something new for them, I guess. I don't know. It's weird. Continue.
shout out to Chris Cobra in your chat for RN Jesus just shining upon him.
Oh yeah,
Shards of Galanor, Jotun, Ursa Furiosa, and another one-eyed mask with Lay Monarch. I'm like, dude,
bro. I'm just gonna
I had a
give you.
small role for a minute or two, but holy crap.
That's insane. Like I'm just gonna give him like my Powerball ticket and just let him go to
Yeah,
town.
can you
Since
just guess for me? I mean, we'll all
yeah,
split it. It's cool, but you got it going on right now.
yeah, he out
And
here.
then shout out in my chat to Ahmad for
Mhm.
the sub. Thank you very much for the Twitch
All
Prime sub.
right, salute.
Appreciate that. Trust me, all you guys, the little support, big support, every little bit counts. Trust me, you guys have no idea, but every one of those matters so much. So thank you.
Mhm.
So yeah, the big one is the key molds, and that one has got to get some work soon because my brother's like he managed to start it on his hunter, which is like the last character he plays, and his titan is the main one, but he can't do the Black Armory whole key quest chain like on his other characters, and that's the one he wants it done on. So that's kind of a major one that needs fixed. So hopefully that gets addressed soon. Cross our
Yeah, they
fingers
need
and
that.
see.
Hmm.
Got a couple movies of the week. Apparently, one of them, people just had fun with Well of Radiance, but they were literally stacking them on each other. They had 6 warlocks with Well of Radiance, and I think they were stacking them over and over. I heard one guy in like a little clip be like, I just got to 19, like in a row. Because they're just
That's
sharing
insane.
orbs with each other over and over, and it's just like broken. So that was actually kind of a funny montage because little different. And then they wanted to close out and say, we invite you to take a step back to Friday, January 11th, 2019. Guardians have been working together to solve the puzzle in Niobe Labs. A final clue is given to nudge players in the right direction. After 3.5 days, a hubris of Niobe was recognized and the puzzle was completed. World's first, the Destiny community. And I honestly like, Glad was really
Mm,
pushing this as well because he even put up a
dope,
video, world's first equals the community. And I honestly
dope.
thought Niobe Labs was like an odd launch mechanic, and I wish this was something that was not locking a forge so it didn't quite get tarnished, but the way the community came together, the stuff going on in Raid Secrets, because I was watching some of that stuff live, the
Hmm.
time put in on trying to solve that thing was like you had NASA code breakers going in, you had the level of people going to town. I mean, this is the community coming together,
Yeah,
and I just
absolutely.
wanted to salute all of that stuff. So
Absolutely. That was really cool to see. Everybody just try to crank it, man. Coming together. It's always fun when you get those kind of moments in Destiny.
yeah, for sure. So I know that kind of wraps up this week for the world
Hmm.
of Destiny. But what about you? I feel like I was just talking for a minute. But what you feeling about all the stuff? Whether it's the sandbox, some of the fixes coming, we got supers changing.
Hmm.
What do you think coming on the 29th? How you looking?
I feel good. I feel good. I love, me, when I hear Sandbox, I get excited. I get all warm inside, man. That means they're tweaking. That means they're looking at stuff. You know what I mean? They're looking. I like when they're saying they're looking at underutilized things. Now we got to get back to the armor again, guys. Remember the armor. We got exotic armors out there that need tweaking too. So don't forget that. And I don't want them to forget also, they started with this one. They're doing, Acreus, Telesto, and what was the third one? Let me scroll up. What was the third one they did today? So we had Acreus, Telesto, and one other exotic that they said they were going to touch. But at the end of the day, it comes down to listen. You
Oh, like
have
trace
to
rifles,
put the
like
trace rifles in
waves
general. So
loader.
go
Yeah.
hard. Yeah. So, that's cool. But at the end of the day, it's like they definitely have to continue that. I miss that update, like when they did, what was it, like Graviton, remember, Sunshot.
Yeah.
Like they gotta continue to do stuff like that. That really reinvigorates life. So I'm good to see that Acra's got some love. We'll see how effective it is. But yeah, overall, I'm good with all this. I like archetype buffs. We still gotta find something to do with submachine guns and, like you said, sidearms. We still got to do something with that. But overall, I can't get too crazy. And I just also want to know. I actually want to know, when is I know we could talk about trials all the time, but when is faction rallies coming back?
Man, like some of that. I mean, Faction Rally Catalyst for one. Like somebody's like, it's been 200
Mm,
days since Faction Rally Catalyst were a thing that we're supposed to be like, hey, we're gonna find a way to put them back in.
mhm.
They're still not even mentioned. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that's not probably a high priority for like 3 catalysts, but even Tassie was like, dude, where the hell are the rest of my catalysts? So many
Hmm.
weapons now don't even have them. There's no mention of them coming back. Armor really doesn't have them.
Hmm.
So I mean, catalysts are a big thing too. Like, there's a lot of things, as you said, faction rallies,
Hmm.
trials, catalysts. Catalysts were a grind that made Warmind a thing.
Yeah. Facts.
So they're leaving some stuff on the table right now, and I know the world is up in the air. They're juggling about 6,000 balls because,
Hmm.
I mean, they're on their own and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, but there's some things that they need to not forget about, um,
Yes.
to continue like the progress they've made. They can't just like they can't pull a D1 obviously or
Hmm.
D1 to D2. They can't do a complete like flop and reset and just make everything kind of trash for a minute. But in turn, the things that they were adding in and like the evolution of exotics to have the catalyst was really really cool. But then
Hmm.
they just kind of like they stopped. Like
Yeah. And that they
that's
can't get away from. They cannot get away from that because, as we're about to get into, the competition is coming. We are at the end of January, and February is approaching, and we got one on route. That is a lot of excitement. And then in March, we got another game that is coming that has a lot of excitement. So, yeah, this is the time to really start reintroducing things, keeping that interest level, having people still talk about your game. Now, granted, you can't do anything on launch. There's always going to be that excitement period for a new game. That's just how
yeah,
things
of
go.
course.
You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, if you start getting your base preparing that other big things are coming back, then it's like, okay, I'm gonna rock out here for a little bit, but I know, Destiny's gonna do this or whatever, whatever. They need to get that going. I mean, I'm not saying that they don't. I know their plate is full with the Activision split, but it's not much time turnaround time to start focusing. So, like you said, pressure cooker. They got to get it popping. Let's go.
Yeah.
So, shall we get into it?
Yeah, so if you guys are gamers and you like the looter shooter space, there's no way you haven't heard of either of these, but we are going to start
Hmm.
with the one that comes sooner. Oh,
Hmm.
did this in the wrong order. Anthem.
Yes.
So, Anthem is definitely going to be a thing.
Hmm.
Um, Now, some of you guys may wonder, like, what the hell's Anthem? Some of you may not care.
Hmm.
Some of you guys may be like, it's BioWare, it's EA, I don't trust them, I don't know. And there's a lot of questions out there. It's a completely new IP, which
Hmm.
does have some appeal going for it because a brand new IP still has the wonder of what could this be? What does it have to offer? Will it be good? Will it last over time? There's a lot of questions up in the air. But I just want to get your feel from,
Hmm.
what you've seen in videos and what you've kind of experienced from, talking to different people and things like that.
Right.
What are your thoughts about this just from, 30,000 foot perspective? What's the big high view?
Listen, full disclosure, obviously, I have experienced it. The thing is that people have to understand is that I think I will shout out to Eric's gaming because I've had him on Iron Law podcast before. And I remember we had a topic, and it was kind of like, Anthem versus Division versus Destiny, who wins the big war kind of thing, right? So at that time, I'm a BioWare fanboy. And at that time, I was told to me, hey, they're not going to be doing the typical BioWare choices and relationship kind of storytelling that BioWare is known for. So
Yeah.
that kind of got me depressed. Then I heard, oh, no PvP at launch, right? So I'm like, that got me a little depressed about it. Then I saw it at E3 Microsoft press conference maybe 2 years ago when they revealed it. And that reveal looked amazing. I'm not going. That reveal looked fantastic. But a part of me, being that I go to a lot of E3s, you always used to sometimes seeing something on screen for the first time, and you get that what I quote unquote vertical slice, right? So I'm like, is that the game? Or you know what I'm saying? Like one of those things. So I didn't. I just didn't want to trust them because what they showed looked great. But I'm like, all right. Needless to say, without spoiling too much, that is the game. That is the game. And I think this thing is going to have a big effect on people, right? I think graphically, oh boy. You know what I mean? It is really a looker. It is different from what the other two are doing.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the javelins, you got, a nice mix. The speed of the game is nice. It's really cool. Ultimately, I think now it comes down to, what the basic gameplay mechanic is, how that's implemented. And then after, my only concern with Anthem is after you get through campaign, are they going to have that hook? Are they going to have that end game? And I've seen some videos on this. Shout out to Game Informer. They did a really good one, and they talked about like I guess they have something. I forgot the terminology, but it's kind of it's end game, but it's kind of not. So I was a little concerned about that. But then they asked me, "Hey, you
Stronghold.
got stronghold?" Thank you, thank you.
Yep.
So they and they said, those are things for us to do, and then they talk about difficulty scaling. All that stuff sounds great. I'm getting a Diablo kind of
Yep.
vibe.
Very much.
Right. Now, one negative that I heard that I'm not a fan of is if we are in a mission together and or the game scales, which is cool. So, someone's been playing a long time, that's fine. But the thing I didn't like is that like we beat the boss and there's a drop. It's just like legendary. You cannot go into your menu and see what that is until you go back to that base of Fort Tarsus,
Yep.
whatever. So that I got to see how that plays in. So basically, when you go out with your loadout onto a mission, that's your loadout. It's almost the equivalent. It's not even a lock screen. You just cannot get it. I guess the game wants you just to focus on the game and not pausing and checking
Yeah,
this.
you're not switching weapons mid run or anything like that. You are going out with a build.
Exactly. So again, how are people going to take to that? That's another thing. And then ultimately, just going to be the end game. I think it's going to be one of those things that for people who have an issue with Destiny not having a good lore and all that stuff, and people who are very PvE focused, I think they're going to gravitate towards. I think it's going to make a strong impression. My only concern is the legs. How long will it last? And then we'll get into the other game, but I want your impressions of Anthem, like what you've seen, what you've experienced. Where are you at? With Anthem in general.
So for me, Anthem is going to be scratching a slightly different itch. Just because of a more specialized feel in classes. It's something I've asked for in Destiny. Maybe the rumors we hear about Destiny 3 being more of an RPG. Maybe there's a little more going there, and cross my fingers it is. But a Guardian's a Guardian. Now, they're going to have different abilities. Yeah, they have different feels, but really, if you're like, your resilience, those things don't really matter that much. Right. You can all generally play a feel. Now, we do have the Well of Radiance for kind of a healer. You do have the Wall Shield for a bit of that. But, generally, you don't have aggro. You don't have anything to that nature that you really can play off of the way you would in an MMO, World of Warcraft, or anything of that nature. So, when you have something as big of a disparity as two javelins from the Colossus to the Interceptor alone, but also the Storm, those two and the Rangers kind of falling in the middle, you actually have more. You actually have roles because the Colossus is going to be your big ass shield tank guy, literally taunting enemies to be like, hey, look at me, I'm down here, leave that other guy alone so he can melt you from above. Like, there's a different role and different play type of what's going to happen in this game, because if you go in a Colossus and you play it poorly, you could screw your team over. If you're not taunting, you're not doing damage, you're not giving the walls that you need. But in turn, if you do it well, you're going to give those other DPSers, and it's really going to have those types of roles a chance to succeed. So there's going to be a different set of, hey, what is my brother? Straight up going to be a Colossus. He's going to walk around and be the big honking tank, walk that shield in there. Yeah, it fits, It
fits him.
But that's his role. That's what he wants to do, and he's been waiting for something like that. Me, I'm torn between the Storm and the Interceptor because one has the elemental, the far damage, kind of putting combos together. The other one, the Interceptor's up in the battle, in, out, quick movement. So they feel different, and I think that's one of the biggest things that Destiny needs a bit more to its Guardians. Like, that's why when it was probably 6 months ago when we were talking about this crap, like the Hunter, if I say there's 4 Hunters that go like full on, like full mobility, they should probably have less health than like a slow walking Titan, and you should be able to feel that. But it's like, if you got 4 nimble Hunters jumping around, holy crap, they might over on the Titans. But if those Titans are just sitting there as beastly tanks that puffing out their chest, and they're just sitting there, be like, come on, bring it, I got health for days. Like, that's a completely different play style, and that's something I wish that Bungie would lean a little harder into. It's like they got the first person shooter. Now you got to make those play styles actually feel different. So
Hmm.
that's one of the biggest things for me. Now, your feel about Diablo is
Hmm.
probably spot on because those of you who haven't played Diablo, you got your normal difficulties like normal, hard, nightmare. Okay. That's probably like going to be same thing with Anthem, easy, normal, hard, whatever. Then you
Hmm.
have these other levels. Like once you're like, okay, what the hell's the end game have? Well, you take the same content and then you throw Insanity 1 on top and then Insanity 2 and you take it to another level. And that's where you start getting some of those masterwork drops that they've got. You've got the legendaries, which are like their exotics, and you
Hmm.
start making it harder content. And that's where, for again, how much of a Diablo is it going to feel like? Am I going to run the same dungeon over and over? Is there going to be any randomness to these things? Or am I going to
Right.
go run the same stronghold 6 different times at a higher difficulty level, get one new piece, get some different gear, and then I'm going to crank the difficulty up again, but I'm back doing the same strongholds? Like, that's where how much of the repetition. Now, saying repetition in the world of Destiny is like calling a kettle black. Like, it's, yeah, we all do it. How many times have I run the Dreaming City? How many strikes and nightfalls have I done? Yes, we all play
Hmm.
that stuff over and over. That's a looter shooter.
Hmm.
Um, but
Hmm.
it's kind of like, what is going to be, what piece of this content do you enjoy? Do you enjoy the third person where, you know, you're going to have your different type of feels? You're going to have like an auto rifle where it's just a machine gun with continuous bullets. There might be some faster and slower ones. There is
Hmm.
sniper rifles. I've seen footage of that. So you've got some scopes where you can actually do that. And then you're going to have some more like shotguns and burst and pulses, but you're not going to have that intimate feel with a first person weapon. And that's
Point.
one of the pieces where that's a preference in playstyle. Do you like
Yes.
the feel of your weapon? Do you like that, you know, pinpoint accuracy of move it around? Or is it just I'm firing in the general direction toward a dude and I'm not going for like, I'm going to shoot him in the shoulder blade as opposed to I'm going to shoot him in the upper body? So, I mean,
Right.
there's a level of precision that will be lacking in this. And
Mm.
um, it's one of those things that it's going to have a very different feel, and it may, and that's, we'll get to the other game here in a little bit, but it's going to be a very different game. Like, I mean, it's a looter shooter, but they're about as far apart in
Yes.
some aspects as you can get.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it too, because I think it's just different, right? So it's going to appeal to a different audience. The question comes down to how many people, like you said, prefer that play style versus, one thing we know, Destiny by far has the best gunplay in video gaming. Like that, it's not even close. Like I mean, the way things feel, the way Bungie does first person shooting, it's just another level. The vibe I got from Anthem is not necessarily that's their foundation. They're more on these abilities, what I'm saying, the verticality of the game, the different classes, that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? So they're going for a whole different thing. And again, I think if the story driven stuff is done well, that will appeal to people who love a nice, heavy narrative. You know what I mean? So they've got some things going for them. I'm very curious because according to one of the devs, I think they're saying a short time after release is when they will get some type of raid content, what they're considering end game.
Yeah.
Have to know what that is. Have to know what it is because again, they have to be careful. This thing can start off with a bang, galvanize the masses, and we saw kind of what happened at Division 1, right? It
Yep,
it,
we're
it
getting there, but yes, indeed.
it started like, I mean, my Destiny friend list betrayed me. E. when Division 1 came out, that was right around during the drought. I think post Taken King. And next year that thing dropped, and I was like, man, they really left. It had a nice run. It had a good run. But once you maxed, then it became okay. What was it? For a lot of people, the incursions wasn't enough. And we'll transition to Division very shortly. But Anthem definitely has to prove that. That's it. So I'll give it to you while the cops are here on my block. Make it
Up,
dope.
got some sirens going
I
on.
got like fire department and police. Oh, that's
Well,
great.
people putting in the work out there, so it's totally fine. I
Never mind the
will.
noises.
Yeah, you're good. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the big thing is, I mean, Division. We'll get to Division 2 on a very different reason. Division 1, I mean, started great. Level 1 through 30, leveling up, doing each mission as you go through. The progression was solid, and by the time you kind of finished it, you'd hit max level. And then it was
Mm.
the whole min maxing. I mean, the dark zone got to a point of being overrun by people like just trolling. And
Trolling,
if you grinded,
grieving.
there was no like level separation. They finally added that later. They had the survival, they had the random dungeon or thing underneath, which they added stuff later, but it's like how fast do people leave games now is just
Yeah.
it's
And
fast. Like, I mean, some people are going to hang on longer, some people don't.
mhm.
But that's, I mean, the same thing you're saying. It's like, is it going to turn into a Diablo like Dungeon 3 for level 17? Like, I mean, whatever whatever they call it in Diablo, it's like, how high do you crank those up?
Right.
There is no PvP. Definitely not at
Mhm.
launch. They've said, now maybe later, but they've said absolutely zero PvP at launch, which has
Mhm.
some upsides. You can have absolutely busted PvE weapons and it's not going to matter.
Mhm.
So it lets you have a little more flexibility in developing crazy stuff and things like that. It's going to be a different like build style though, because you're still going to take like your perks on a weapon. Well, those are going to be your perks on certain pieces of gear. The more rare, the more perks that you can have on it, which is kind of cool. But the main thing is kind of your build. You're going to have two weapons for most, and then you've got your options of abilities. So if you guys take, I'll go to the basic, I'll go to your ranger.
Yeah.
You're going to have your abilities. So I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this.
Mhm.
So your weaponry on the javelin. So all of the three except the Colossus is going to be capable of wielding every weapon type except for heavy weapons, and Colossus is vice versa for every weapon but light weapons like little stuff. Then you're going to have a melee ability. You're going to have a grenade, and then you're going to have your different pieces of gear.
Mhm.
So your melee is just going to be melee. Each character will just straight up come with their melee. They have to have one.
Mhm.
But then you've got loadouts, and all the way your gear drops in this game is going to be based on the gear you have determines what you can do. It's not like you go into Destiny and you unlock a perk tree and be like, hey, I'm going to go solar grenade. I'm going to go solar build. I'm going to pick this grenade. It's a different setup.
It's a
So
different setup.
you're going to get a frag grenade, inferno, frost, seeker, or sticky. Those are your different grenades. And then you've got your launcher, homing missiles, energy pulse, spark beam, venom darts, blast missile. And then you have your support gear. Bulwark point, which is like a spherical field which deflects incoming projectiles. Muster point, and those are the other three things you can equip. So literally you're going to have like bulwark point. Maybe you get a rare bulwark point that drops with perks that give you, extra defense while you're on the ground. Cool. That's like a one. Then you get a masterwork one that has three different perks on it plus the other one, so that one's even better, but it's still just that point. So the
Right.
idea is you're building your javelin to have its abilities, but you're
Mhm.
not going to have um, you're not going to have, different types of grenades, different types of supers. It's a different setup. And
Good setup.
it's like
Yes.
once you kind of figure out, like, okay, do I like the Inferno grenade? Okay, then I just want the one Inferno grenade roll. But
Mhm.
that's my playstyle. That's my go.
Mhm.
And then your launcher. You're going to get different launchers as you go. But once you narrow it down, I wonder about the longevity of the way you build your
Mhm.
javelin. Now, you can play all four. You're not limited. So, like, you have a pilot and you can pick each one and you can have loadouts for each one. But it will be interesting to see how much variety it feels like, or if it's like, if I'm going to go play on my Ranger, I just know how it's going to play. There doesn't feel
Right.
like as much customization when we have, like, three complete subclasses that really do feel different in Destiny.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Yeah, these good points, man. I can't wait. They like I said, the excitement is there for the game. We have our concerns, obviously. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? We'll see how they do. This is the first up to bat, and then we got something else, right? We got
Yeah.
some other
So
game.
we've also got it's the sequel to the one we've been talking about. It
Mm.
be The Division 2.
Mhm.
Now, I
Mhm.
was rambling my butt off about Anthem.
Mhm.
But I mean The Division 2 is it's real.
Woo, woo. Mm.
So, what do you think? What's your thoughts on just a sequel to The Division first off?
Um, this is the game that I am most concerned about. And when I say concerned, not in the negative way, concerned as the threat. Because here's the thing. My thing right now is that I feel like Anthem has the flash, but maybe Division might have the long-term substance. And the only reason why I say it is because we all know how this game launched. It started off tremendously. Everyone's playing this game, very addicted to it. It's a different style, more of the tactical MMO kind of thing. It's really cool. Everybody liked it. And there's cars again. Okay, fine. But at the end of the day, it came down to that end game. It came down to the longevity, and seeing if people stuck around. And Massive to me seemed like they learned a lot. You know what I'm saying? And especially Endgame. So when I first saw the trailer, Raid, I'm like, whoa, okay. They're focusing on it. It's not going to be just those excursion things. 'Cause to be honest, I wasn't really a fan of that excursion thing. As far as customization, as far as the min maxing, as far as abilities, I felt Division really had that down. As far as the Dark Zone, wasn't.
Yeah, see that was a struggle.
Yeah, I wasn't a fan of it. I'm gonna be real. Like, I wasn't a fan of dudes in there trolling just because life in the game and one shot. Nah, bro. Like, so those things were. I like the idea of the mode, right? But I just didn't feel it was implemented properly. Now, since then, they've had subsequent upgrades and they've definitely done a lot since. And I actually like the survival DLC when they had a little take on it. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, that idea was kind of like a battle royale, basically, but I like the tweak on it.
Yeah, so the Dark Zone wasn't my bag. Now, as I've been getting information, I've been paying attention a lot to Division. Obviously, we got the story trailer this week,
Yep.
right? Saw that. We got the Washington D.C. the whole thing. I thought the narrative was decent. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, I've played both games.
Yeah.
I played Division at what you call it. And the vibe I came away from it is, if you love Division, you're gonna love this one. The key now is, like I said, the end game and all that stuff. Now, I just got some information on the Dark Zone. They just put something out there, maybe like a day or two, and I'm actually intrigued, D, because they had it the way they're doing it now. They're talking about 3 Dark Zones,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
And they had one kind of based on long range combat, one kind of based on short range combat, the other one kind of like a mix. And then they also doing this thing. The main thing that they're doing in the Dark Zone that I like, and I know the hardcore Division guys might not like this, is they are evening the playing field when you step in there. So there's no more, oh, I'm level 75, I low life it. Here come these noobs, let's go get them. That's over with. Everyone's now at an equal footing, and it comes down to the skill and your Twitch skills as far as the killing. So they added that. They added some turrets to stop people from camping at spawn points or whatever they was doing, and grieving people. Again, this is how you get. I know the hardcore may not like it, but no casual player is going in there, getting robbed, getting their stuff taken. You know what I'm saying? And then talk about, hey, this is a great time. Like, no one's doing that consistent, because this is
Yeah.
supposed to be their end game. They thought was their end game at the time. You know what I'm saying? So, shout out to Beantown Plus. Thank you. Love this podcast, guys. Keep up. Thank you so much, bro. It means a lot. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the last word. So, yeah, man. So we had that aspect. So I heard that. But then, to appease the hardcore, they're doing a remember I told you there's gonna be 3 Dark Zones. They're doing a rotating Dark Zone that has the old way. So, like, say for example, this week in DC, in Georgetown, you know what I'm saying, part of the town, like, this is the Dark Zone where the level matters. So I thought that's cool, because it's like it introduces Dark Zone, and actually Dark Zone is part of the storyline as well. So when you play the game is going to take you to each of these Dark Zones to give new players a feeling of how things are. That they needed to do, because, to be honest, when I was scared to death to run. I'm not getting robbed out there. Yeah, y'all not taking my stuff. And then the scariest thing in Division, if you ever played the Dark Zone thing, is shooting that flare up. And it's like, hey guys, I'm here on the corner of 34th and 6th with loot.
Oh no, that was that moment. I was like, it was a cool moment. Like, there were things in that were awesome and also terrifying. But yeah,
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
moment when you fired, you'd be like,
Mhm.
I'm not here. I'm not here. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. Okay, get it out of here. Okay, good.
Right. So I gotta be real. Obviously they got AI in there as well. It's a different type of tension.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I think the way they're handling it, I'm coming around a little bit. Eden, this last stream, I think it's shout out to Marcos. I forgot who it is. We got it in the ILP Discord. If you check out our ILP podcast Discord, check out. I mean, Lords of Gaming Discord. Excuse me. Check out the Division channel and shout out to I believe El Boogie, Snaldo. They've been putting stuff up there, updating, and I got a chance in slow mo. You got a chance to check that stuff, and I really like. They also have a dedicated PvP mode.
Yeah, that was a new addition. I did not expect that.
Did not expect that.
Mm-mm.
And then the last thing is we've confirmed because at E3, they confirmed on the Ubisoft stage there are raids, not incursions. Thank you for correcting me. I keep calling them excursions. Thank you for repeating.
Correct.
Incursions. That's interesting to me. So again, I think short term, Anthem may wow the masses. But my prediction is long term, Division may keep you playing. And the last point, but I'll give it to you. I know I'm rambling.
No, you're good. Trust me, I didn't mind on Anthem.
Free DLC,
now
right?
That's a factor. Absolutely is a factor.
You're not splitting the base. Like, man, like I'm worried as a Destiny. That's the game because they remember they started off as the new kid on the block. And let's keep it real, Destiny fans. They punched Destiny in the mouth at launch. Everybody was. I seen Destiny content creators going making Division channels. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was like, "Yo, this is the wave." Now I stood true because I know which game I liked a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I have to recognize the power of that game. Then they faded off, and obviously we know what happened. Now they got Endgame, they got all these modes, they got this stuff. You know, they have a little bit of they have a narrative. It'll be interesting, man. Like I know we've talked about Division, but like give me your personal feelings of the first game, and then from what you're hearing and what you're seeing about Division 2, where you kind of at with Division, personally for you.
So the first one, I played the hell out of the beta, and that was one of the first things that was on my channels. Honestly, a little bit of Destiny, a little bit of Division. I mean, it's where I started. So, Division has. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this. Has some of the things I really like. They went deeper into the numbers. They went like you actually see the damn numbers, which Destiny just absolutely hates doing, which frustrates me. If I throw Rampage on there, tell me what the hell that does. If I throw Rampage spec on something, it adds a second to your Rampage. Don't make us go make YouTube videos to figure it out. So the clarity on that is nice, but there's a piece about Division that also can limit it. Now, leveling up 1 to 30, I loved. Like, going around in the city, running in New York, and that has got to be the best cover system feeling. Like, I know it was the joke about closing the door, but it was really the way it felt. Like, if I run up to a corner of a wall, cool. If I peek out, cool. If I'm up to a car, it never felt like the cover sucked. Like, the cover was better than almost any other game I'd played. Their third-person cover system, just nothing could touch it. It was so good. So, I mean, the way that felt made the tactical encounters kind of cool. Like, you could, like, use some of your abilities to catch them off. And then as you work through, snipers and things, got to be kind of cool, working from range, doing the dark zone. And then you kind of got to the top point, and you're like, okay, so how much time am I going to spend trying to go for endgame? The time you put in versus what you got out of it, or you got robbed in the dark zone, and that was the only place to level up. And they forced you into the dark zone in the first one. And just there were so many trolls, so many people running as groups, getting screwed over, the risk of doing it. And after a while, it was just like, do I really want a headache of like trying to bash my head against 30 minutes on fighting some big boss sponges, which I'll talk about in a second, and then maybe have it just ripped away. And that was a really, really tough thing because in the end game, if I really want to be able to try and level up, I need a way to do that where I don't have the risk of just getting screwed.
I agree.
That was the thing. Now, the other piece for me about Division that takes away some of the fun, and this is where Anthem has some appeal, and so does Destiny.
I know where you're going.
It's the Division is so tied to realism, it restricts what you can do in it. Not in a bad way. I mean, if you like guns, you like your tactical shooters, you like your scopes and your barrels and all that stuff. But then when you have still a dude that takes 6,000 bullets to die, you're like, okay, that doesn't make as much sense as here's this giant space ogre dark magic thing. Yeah, that guy's probably going to take a few bullets because you picture, shooting crazy large animals and it just like bounces off. Same situation. Like, it's going to take some work. Like, But this is
Hmm.
just another dude. I don't care how much armor he's wearing. At some point, that stuff gives out.
Wait a
So
minute. I gotta back you up. So you try to tell me you don't like shooting dudes with the red hoodie 35 times and they not dropping?
yeah, I mean that's a hell of a Kevlar hoodie. I mean, it just feels like it's doing some good work out there. I just
It's
need to
gotta
get
be
me one
right
of those because be safe to walk around in that hoodie for life.
there.
So it's those limitations, and it really just depends on how it feels.
Hmm.
The guns felt pretty good. I mean, Destiny still personally, it's first person versus third, so again, a preference of what you like. I mean, the guns kind of felt cool. They definitely had distinct guns. I mean, they had their own meta in there. You had, I mean, some of the mods that you could put on there, some of the like gear sets. They got into gear sets. That's
Yeah.
cool. Why the
Yeah.
hell? Why the hell Destiny can't get a gear set going on? Like, oh come on.
Thing I like about Division. Like they're still ahead of the curve when it comes to that mid max and that customization. To every piece of gear can customize and go towards a build and give you a positive rating towards a skill. And I like that about. And I forgot about the gear sets. They added all that stuff when I stopped playing. Right? There's
Hmm.
tons of stuff like people, the hardcore Division players know. Shout out to Neo Mental in here. Shout out to PD in here. Like as the game went on, you know that game really got good. And it's just that the base was already done at that. The casual base was through with the game at that point.
Right.
But and I want to give it right back to you. But I also want to comment. I forgot another mode that I really like that I hope they bring back is survival. I don't know if you
Yeah.
ever played survival
I
mode.
played like a couple times, but yeah, the
Yeah,
concept I really liked.
I like the concept. It felt like you had to do things to stay alive, keep warm. That whole thing. It was like you were almost on a ticking timer kind of thing. I hope they bring that little thing back as a thing. But I'll give it back to you in terms of your points. You were finishing up with the realism aspect and the other things you were going into.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just like so you take like a Destiny raid and you're like, okay, so this is going to be a big Fallen in the Lost City, or you have the Dreadnought and you're fighting against Oryx, and you got the Taken Realm. And you can go sci-fi insanity. Anthem has that bonus going because I mean they're out there. There's the Anthem, like the life-changing power. You got flying Iron Man suits of different classes. You got crazy, monsters and stuff that you're fighting. You got the verticality, and this is all grounded in Washington D.C. You're on a
Hmm.
level. Now they had like a couple buildings you could go up floors in, and I know
Yeah.
it would be harder to do. But one of the things about Division that I wish, and I know it's hard to program. I'm not a game maker, and it's a big ask, and I don't expect it. But the verticality, like if every building you could go into in, say, the Dark Zone had different levels and different floors, and you could go in and hide in a building and peek out all the windows, and everything was actually interactive, not just mostly the
Hmm.
streets. Here's like 3 buildings you can go in, but most of them it's just the outside. Like if you could
Hmm.
actually spend some time in interiors, almost have a little toying around with something like a PUBG feel, where every building is able to be entered and explored and hiding in and stuff like that, that would give it a little more variety, at least, as opposed to just running the streets of New York or running the
Yeah.
streets of DC now, which, while could be cool and different scenery changes, fine, but you've got even less verticality, so now you're going to be running through like open fields.
Hmm. Yeah, it'd be interesting. I will say this, and I think we can't understate raids for them.
Yeah,
And
no,
from what I'm
they're
hearing, 8-man raids.
that'll
I'm
be
hearing,
interesting.
yeah,
Yeah. No, no, no.
that
Go ahead. That's yeah. I'll
and apparently this is supposed to be the super hardcore end game content. They've really supposedly done their homework. I got a chance to speak to the devs about, obviously they couldn't release much to me at that point. Everything's still, but they were saying they were there, and they plan on that post-launch content of Raids being a major component of Destiny. Now, Destiny Division, you know what I'm saying? Now, if they're able to, if they're able to if that's an exciting thing that I guess you know what I just need from them? I just need mechanics. It
I was
just
about
can't
to
be
say
like,
that. I was literally about to say
yeah,
that word.
yeah, like, dude, it just can't be waves of the hoodie, waves of this dude next, waves of that. Like, it can't be that because that to me was what the incursions was. I wasn't feeling. It's got to be. We have to do. See, that's people don't understand. People can clown Destiny, say what they want. Best gun mechanics and best end game. There's nothing, no other game, in my opinion, is beating Destiny when it comes to endgame. Do you know what it is to do? I was just arguing with Destiny's so good when you're arguing about which raids are the best. That's
Oh,
where we
you and
are.
Pyro going at it? Yeah, that's hilarious.
Oh, me and Pyro's cool. Shout out to Pyro, even though he's insane with his Crota ranking, but we ain't gonna get into that. That's my man. I like Pyro, but he's got
There's
last
a
wish
lot
number.
of nostalgia on Volta Glass. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh, you all
I'm not saying where the
How could
ranking is,
you?
but I will say there's a lot
How
of
could
nostalgia on that first one.
At two, Brute. At two. Really? That's what we doing? We really gonna do this? We're gonna listen. We're gonna do a special last word. I'm gonna get. It's gonna be Pyro's gonna be on. I'm gonna get maybe Addict in there. All my race Sinister. I'm
Oh
looking
my
for
god, I'm
you.
just gonna go sit in the background with with a bucket of popcorn and mute my microphone. I'm not even gonna be in that mix. You guys are gonna
But
rip each
God
other's heads off.
Amnesia has accepted the show. He's gonna be on it. We're gonna
Oh
do a
Jesus.
special show. It's gonna be about Destiny raids, ranking the raids. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna talk about, but all this Crota talk gonna stop. But anyway, anyway, the long and short of it, back to Division, is that is what Destiny does. Splitting your people up, teams of two, doing mechanics, figuring out secrets. I just struggle to kind of say, okay, how is Division doing that in a game based on real? But again, I'm willing to give them a shot. I'm willing to see if they're cooking up something. We'll see. We'll see. But that's the thing that a Destiny player is not going to leave for Division until Division proves it can do something like that.
Yeah. I
Then,
mean, that's go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, last point. If Division has a King's Fall or a Wrath of the Machine style thing, that whatever faction or whatever it is, and they're doing that, and then hey, all bets are off. Now we're talking about who's fighting for the crown. If they're able to do something like that, I just want to know if they elevated to that level. That's the question.
And that's the hard part. I mean, you take an Anthem raid, you could have like mechanics, you could have this thing that you've got to freeze, you got somebody who's coming with like corrosive build, you have to dot this guy to drop his shield, so you have damage over time going, you bust out a super.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting there running around with, I might have a sniper, a shotgun, and maybe a heavy machine gun, and I might have this little drone and stuff, but even the super, like the special abilities are like you have your specializations. And like, so you go,
That's what it feels. Anthem.
so you've got survivalist, demolitionist, and sharpshooter, and you've got survivalist is going to have their precision crossbow. Okay, you've got the demolitionist. It looks like they've got a grenade launcher. She does, and then sharpshooters, of course, a sniper rifle. But I mean, how that's you're saying it perfect. Is like how can you really make another encounter? Because I mean, you think about the last mission in Division 1 where you go against the helicopter in the end. You've got the final group of those heavy military guys that you're going through. Some of them are tough. You've got the outside fight. I'm like, that felt kind of cool, but I was like, how much farther can you take something realistic in Division? Like, how far can you take it out there to make as a few people on the ground? Unless you start, I mean, we fought a tank in a box. That first incursion was bad. It was literally you walked it. You had like the few drones, the few dudes, and you walk in. It was just this kill box of this thing just wanted to destroy you with rockets, and you're like, I'm just a dude, and they're in like I can't even think of the right terminology for the vehicle, but it was just like they're sitting there in a small concrete underground room, not a lot of room, and then just explosions going on, which would probably make you all deaf anyway. Like if they go for realism, but then they detach, and then you're just this guy trying to shoot a ship, and you got to run up and put this little explosive on the side and try and go back, and it was, and it just did not feel great. And after a while, APC, thank you, Soul Gibbon, and how's Zochi? Yeah, both of you guys got it about the same time. Yeah, that first incursion was.
They can throw that in the bushes. That was trash. I ain't like that at all.
So that's why the things that they did for the random underground stuff that you could do and you could crank up the modifiers, that was a good idea. The survival aspect gave you something to do where everybody was on the same level and gave you a little bit of that battle royale itch, which was kind of nice too. Like those things that came later were good, but like again, is this one of those things? Do they pull a D1 and they have a campaign and then they have like your specializations, but that other content, the random dungeons, the things that D1 people really enjoyed, is that going to take another year to come back into are they going to pull a D1? Because they haven't mentioned any of that crap. So
what you mean D1 in what sense?
Destiny 1, Like, are they going to pull a Destiny 1 where they throw half the stuff that we liked out and then they have to take some time and bring it all back? Because, like,
Oh, I see where you're going. Okay, I got you. I
yeah,
got
is
you. Like,
Division 1 going to have all of those features that is Division 2 going to have all the features that D1? Is it going to have survival? Is it going to have the randomness? They've got the PvP. They've got, I mean, they've got PvP, which is
I don't
new.
get the vibe that survival is coming back. I felt like that was a special DLC mode. I mean, at launch, I meant to say. Not saying
Yeah.
it's not coming back at all, but I got the feel like that was a special mode that was added later in the game. But on launch day, I mean, in their defense, they got a lot of different activities at launch. I mean, because you got your basic game, you got your campaign, you got your PvP, you got your dark, you got Dark Zone, and you got PvP.
Yeah.
So see that's the thing already off top. They got over Anthem
PvP.
because again, when Anthem starts and you play and you beat that campaign, and they're saying when they speak to the devs, they keep saying, "Oh, their end game post, not the stronghold is coming soonish." What does that mean? You know what I mean? Like again, if people blaze the content and finish, it's gonna die. I don't care how hot the game is. I don't care how great the game looks. It's going to die. So they have to get that squared away. They may have the story over Division. I'll give them that. Casey Hudson, those guys, narrative characters, all that we got to see. But watching the storyteller for Division, it didn't seem that shabby. I like the Washington, D.C. setting. I want to see how they build that whole thing up. But I think at launch, Division 2 has the edge as far as things you can do to keep you invested as a player. I will give them that.
Yeah.
That's just my
No. I mean, I think you're right, and that's the thing. I mean, Kaibatsu's even saying it there in chat about Anthem is like if they go the Diablo route, it's just a different style of game completely. Like if you're working on min maxing, you're gonna take this one. Okay, let's crank this up to level 12. Like then you just go to insanity, and then if you keep going and building and trying to get to that meta, and you're working on getting your gear score to the max. Funny thing is they both actually have gear scores, I'm sure.
yeah,
both games are going to run that way, so power level, gear score, it's all the same thing. So all those things are going to be, and they may honestly not overlap as much. It just depends on what style you enjoy, because I mean that's kind of if Anthem feels very Diablo-ish, and then Divisions goes like co-op, hardcore rating, like that type of stuff. They may not be they may have some separation. I mean, of course, they're all going to compete because people only have so much time. Goodbye, all of my sleep if I can try and keep up with any of this crap.
All these, I know.
Oh my god, seriously! Like whether it's like Gambit stuff and Quest coming out. I mean, I can almost thank God that Destiny's going to. I feel like be at a quiet time because there's going to be a little bit of story. There's going to be some Gambit stuff, but I don't have to go full out on that one because there's going to be other stuff to do. Whew.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, so let me put your feet to the fire. All right, we're gonna do our first one. I need based on the information that we have thus far.
Oh dear.
On Anthem and Division, I need the last word on what you're getting, what you're more excited to play right now. Woo, put you on the spot. Last word. Let's go.
Okay. Excitement versus expectation are two different things. Excitement, I'm going to lean Anthem because it is new. It is new. It's vertical. You get to be Iron Man. There's something unique about that. Like everybody gets to be Iron Man. You get different varieties. You got the Hulkbuster. You got different options. I feel like I kind of know what to expect with Division.
Okay, I see where you're going.
So it's like I know it just depends on how they execute, but I know I've played Division 1. I can understand it's going to be tactical missions on city streets and it's down to earth with guns and you level up and I'm looking forward to it, but excitement and optimism is for the unknown. That's my way to phrase it because Division has established a lot of things, and if they execute on the launch well, they've got a chance of being a very, very solid game. Anthem is the big thing up in the air, and nobody knows till it lands till we actually see what we got. I mean, the demo's going to hopefully tell a lot.
Long Reach in your chat said both. Long Reach, that's not fair. This is the last word I had to challenge. You got to challenge. I want the one answer. No, but he did it.
I gave you one.
Not you. I'm teasing.
What about you?
I've been flip-flopping, bro. I have been flip flopping. If you would have spoke to me 2 weeks ago, it would have been a different answer. But I think Division's calling me. This is so weird. I don't know why. And I'm the guy that probably is so hard on that game. And I think my sensibilities lean towards customization. I think my
Okay, you
sense,
haven't given me an answer yet because both of them do that.
but I feel that Division
There's the
seems
word. That's all.
doing
That's the
it
word I was
better.
looking for. All right.
Yeah. Again, it's early. We talk about we're talking the last word as of right now, based on the information. This is going to fluctuate as we get closer to release for both games,
Yeah,
right?
the demo is going to tell me a lot. Hopefully.
Right. Anthem's the demos coming. We're gonna learn a lot, right? The betas, we're gonna learn a lot. So this again, we're just talking about as of January 18th. Like that's make me clear. This is not your final statement. It's not my final statement.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, shout out to Christopher Hall. I think they're going to correct all the mistakes. But they've been there before. There's something to be said when you put out your first effort, it does well, then you kind of fade, and people a bit like you learn from that. And for some reason, I'm saying, you know what? They may learn from it. And I just think for me personally, the two things that got me excited is I am not a Dark Zone person. I am now excited to go into the Dark Zone. I'm curious about what the rate is. I want to do gear sets. I want to see, what maxing out a build is, the drones or whatever the stuff they got, the different types and classes they got. Am I thrilled about shooting dudes with hoodies in the faces? Probably not as much. Like Anthem has that initial excitement. So I'm with you in that. Like Anthem has more excitement to play. I'm just worried about does that wear off? But Anthem could surprise. Anthem could really show, yo, we got meat, we got legs, we got things to do. You're gonna see that we haven't even shown, But as of right now, based on this week's information of Division stuff, I gotta say Division right now. But
Yeah,
we
there
got
was a stream for Anthem yesterday that I still gotta watch. My brother said it was pretty good, so
yeah.
I'm
So
waiting on that one. But
what I say we do is, next each week as we get closer, let's do this. Let's do a last word.
see where the scales,
Yeah, see where
see
our
where the
scales go.
scales. Yep.
Yeah, I would love to do that because I think it's fun. I think both titles know what their competition is, and I think it's pretty interesting. And let's be honest, they're close releases. It's gonna be a fun battle, man. And at the end of the day, I like this even for Destiny because everybody's gonna have to step their game up to keep your fan base, to keep your player count. Oh, you gonna have to step your game up.
Yep.
So this is a fun time. It's a good time for the looter shooter genre. I'm excited. You know what I'm saying? You got Anthem going Division as of this week. Let's see next week, last word, how we feel when we get more information.
Yeah, and Destiny's going to be sitting there and be like, all right, we launched Gambit, that stuff's there, a couple quests roll out, see what everybody does, but guess what? We've been doing this for 5 years. They got some experience. Now they feel like they threw 3 years of experience out the window, and then they started over with Forsaken. So, I mean, they've had a lot of rough learning curves in there, but they have had some learning curves to go through already. Now, Division's been doing it for a while, too, and that's where some of the experience, and Division has some quicker adaptation of changes.
Yes.
We don't know how fast Anthem's changes are going to happen, how quick they can implement updates. Like, that's one thing.
Live team.
Do what?
I said, we're going to learn about that live team.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Division was a balance to almost too fast to make changes. That was an issue once because, like, they steered a little more towards streamers on, say, like, Division tech and currencies, and all of a sudden the casuals like, what the hell?
Yeah,
like, it got a little too rough. So there are those things to see once actually everything goes out, how it goes.
I agree, man.
Yep. So Kaibatsu's asking a new mode coming out. Yeah, it's the evolution of Gambit. It's the best way I know how to describe that little phrase of whatever's coming with the here I can look real
and then
quick.
we got our bet too. Because don't let trials come back. Because if Destiny try to throw trial,
when did you want it back? You wanted it at the launch of
I wanted the Joker's Wild. I wanted it at the
launch of Joker's Wild. That was the bet. Okay, yeah. I think you'll be taking me out for dinner, man.
Most likely.
Yep. Yeah, I mean it's gonna have annual pass, Joker's Wild Weapons and Gear, new Gambit experience.
Hmm.
What in the hell is that? You got Zur bounties, you got Joker's Wild weekly quest, you got Triumph, you got a couple exotic quests. Those are there, but the new Gambit experience,
And what is that?
what is that coming at the same time? That's like straight up early March.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Kavatsu, yeah, I'm with you, man. I hope Division 2 doesn't make the D2 FOMO and be like, oh, we're going to make all these changes and we're going to forget about the stuff we brought in and Trials of Gambit. Yeah.
Awesome champion. Shout out to the
I can actually see that as being like, a way to mix up that mode. So they smash the, I don't know. So yeah, we are coming up on about 2 hours, guys. Been a hell of a lot of fun, though. You guys have been great in chat as well. And yes, Anthem is using the Frostbite engine, Soul Gibbon. But yeah, the future is bright, and we have no idea which one's going to shine the brightest yet. So there's a lot of questions that we need answers. Demos are going to get us some answers as news gets closer. Destiny's going to still be doing its thing, so stuff will continue, guys. But yeah, we can pretty much wrap it up there. I know we had a couple minutes of a late start, but all in all, it's been a hell of a lot of fun this morning. So thank you everybody who tuned in. If you guys listen to this later as well, whether it's your channel or mine, I am working on getting the audios up. I've got a place to put them. I just got to see how the feed goes out. And we're kind of working on a logo too, so I can actually have an icon when I put it up there for the feeds. That would make it a little better. So those little pieces are working on come together, so you guys could get your iTunes viewing.
He says, Ebontis a car, go for 3 hours. You can do it.
Oh, we could go for way too
Trust
long.
me, we can go. This show was almost named Long Point, remember?
Yeah, hashtag long point. Still a thing. But yeah, if you want to wrap your side, then I will mine. I think we're pretty much probably going to wrap it for the morning.
Lord Cognito, man, from the Iron Lords podcast, man. Every Sunday is the Lord's Day. Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern. No guest this week, just the Lords. But trust me, it is going to be fun. I'll give you a sneak peek. We are going to have a hilarious Mortal Kombat discussion that is on the plate. We're going to talk about that's going to be a hot topic. A lot of stuff going on in the industry. Oh man, some fun topics. Man. I'll just give you one. One is going to be Mortal Kombat in all aspects of that reveal. So we'll break that stuff down. We'll touch a little bit more also on Destiny and Division and Anthem. We'll touch a little bit more as well. Probably not as extensive as deep as me and my man E, but we'll try. But yeah, man, it's gonna be fun, man. Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern, Iron Lord Podcast channel at Lord Cognito on the Twitter. And make sure if you guys are on Discord, please join the Lords of Gaming Discord. I'll try to get that out to you guys ASAP. It should be in the description on my channel, so check that out. It's really fun. We actually have chat rooms for everybody. So if you're a fan of Destiny, we got you. Obviously, you know what I'm saying. For all you guys in here, I'm seeing a couple Division fans. I'm seeing Anthem fans. Please, we have dedicated chats for you guys, so you can just talk with your friends. You can fanboy out. You can go in the other guys' chat and say why their looter shooter is not better than yours.
Oh my god.
You can have some fun with it, man. But it's really fun, man. Really enjoy it. Yeah, I'll try to get you guys the link up while Ebontis goes. But yeah, check us out Sunday, man. And make sure, please, subscribe to my man, man. He's out here. He's killing the solo content. Ebontis is really, really doing a tremendous job. So if you have not subbed to Ebontis' channel, it's going to be a problem.
Then what are you doing with your life? I mean, come on.
Exactly. You're not living the right life. You're not living a healthy.
I'm just messing. But yeah, I mean, I just try and you guys have been awesome. And as these games are coming, I'm gonna try and cover them to the best of my ability. I don't do this full time, so I will do my best. But you guys have supported me this far, so I will keep my keep it coming as much as I can. And dividing my world by 3 is going to be rough. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, man. Give me 1 second. Before I let you do your outro, I just want to give the guys the Discord channel because I definitely want to get these guys in there, man. Both chats are really, really tremendous. I'm just gonna dump that link in there right now. So here is for the Lords of Ebontis.
Are both
here. You guys go. Please hit that up when you guys can. Talk some gaming, have some fun with the Lords, and obviously most of the people in ILP, you guys will have it already, so I'm throwing it in there. So there you go.
Nice. But yeah, for me, you guys know where to find me. It's right here on Twitch if you guys are watching it live. If you catch it YouTube later, it's twitch.tv/Ebontis. Twitter, it's Ebontis. YouTube, it's Ebontis. Wherever you guys find me, follow, sub, like, comment, all the good things. And just every little bit of support helps, guys. Whether it's subbing to the channel, liking a video, Twitch Prime subs, whatever you guys do. If you can support, cool. If you just want to watch and hang out, also cool. Just, you guys are awesome, and it's just the little comments. People saying, hey, I just finished my first 100K Nightfall because of your video. It's literally why I do it right there. And those are the awesome ones. So thank you guys for the support. Both of us are growing. And again, I know he said, send the love my way. Send it to Iron Lord's podcast as well. Please go out there, at least subscribe to that channel. Listen to those podcasts. Put them in your ears and listen to that good, wonderful conversation, hilarious discussions they have, and great interviews. I mean, Cognito right there is the glue that holds that thing together, but he will definitely get you some great content. When those guests get on there, he gets the deep questions and definitely lets those guests run wild, which is awesome. So great times all around, and I think that'll wrap it up. So that's all I got, and we'll see you guys streaming next week in another video. All it is, just that we'll see you guys in the next one.
Absolutely. Enjoy your day and enjoy your weekend. Peace.
See ya.